Hey, what's up, friends? Rossman here. Couple of quick housekeeping notes for you. So last week, we did have a cancellation with some awesome comedians that were going to come in, but we're going to reschedule them. So just wanted to let you know what was going on with that. The snowpocalypse here in Michigan has not been kind to the podcast. But for this episode with Lou, we actually lost like the first 2 minutes of audio with Lou. I had redone all of the cabling and everything in here, and the microphones were backwards from what they were supposed to be. So I did not have him on for just like 2 minutes when he was introducing himself there. So sorry about that, Lou. Sorry about that, everybody, but we just pick it right up there. So, all right, let's get on with the show. Will be edited. Right. Yeah, sorry. Keep going. Sorry. Go ahead.
All right, so so my buddy that convinced me to move, I had nothing going on, and the band we've been, we were planning to, which we ended up having the record recorded at Smart Studio up in Madison, Butch Vig Studio.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah. And so anyway, before that record came out, we were kind of in the midst of trying to find a drummer that could hang with it would have been huge if it maybe was 10, 15 years prior, right. But we came out, it was too late,
Yeah.
And anyway, my buddy was, before I moved out, he's like, oh yeah, a lot of stuff's going on out in Michigan and this side of the state, and I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, there's this band, the Verve Pipe, that's getting big, and I'm like, oh, I don't know who that is.
Yeah. It was popping. Right
obviously. And then when I came out here, when I started working in the music store. That was one of the first gigs I had.
Nice.
I was teaching and then working on the sales floor, and that's how I met Joel, and that's how I really met everybody else around town, all the local musicians.
Right.
So me and Joel and I go way back.
Nice.
96. Yeah, 96. And I saw, the beginning of his band kind of taking off, and then, falling down, falling off, and that whole thing. So, me and him are really close still. And we're actually still working together on my stuff, my solo stuff. And
nice.
Once I actually put the time in and finish and stuff, but he's gonna co-produce it with me. But
sweet,
it's one of those things, it gets so busy with everything else that I'm doing that it's easy to put that on the back burner.
What type of stuff are you trying to use for the solo?
I've released some stuff solo wise. It's kind of I wouldn't say it's singer songwriter stuff, but it's a mix of like I would say maybe more on the rock side, but a little more poppy.
Okay.
The kind of lyrically, all the songs kind of are all over the map. A lot of relationship stuff, a lot of internal turmoil kind of songs and stuff like that. But musically, it's pretty dynamic. So far, a lot of ups and downs. I want it to really be kind of showcase all the things that I enjoy playing and what I kind of grew up on. So like that 70s kind of 70s and early 80s kind of rock, and almost a prog rock, but not too mathematical,
Right.
So we'll see, again, once I have all the songs, I just got to start recording them. And the problem is I'm doing it all myself, and I have all the gear, I have the studio, I got all the stuff, and I wanted Joel to come in, because obviously I worked with Joel so many times on different things, and obviously with the band as well. But he has a way of kind of getting things out of you, and I wanted him to kind of give me that extra push. And Joel, I need that extra push.
Come on, buddy, let's go.
I think about it, it's so daunting, I know. I was telling Channing, who was the background singer at Verve Pipe the other week, and he's like, I haven't seen you since the new year, and what have you been doing? I was like, well, my New Year's resolution was to see if I could write a song, lyrics and all, in 1 week, once a week kind of thing. And well, I got the first 2 weeks in, and then I was like, then I found myself tweaking the one I did 2 weeks ago, and so now I'm behind.
Is it harder to kind of carry that momentum when you're just doing it for yourself? Because when you've got the band, it's like, all right, we got to get shit going here.
That's the thing. Is like, it's so easy. And I'm sure, it's the same for everybody when they're trying to do their own thing. It's like, it's so easy to nitpick your own stuff, and I can keep editing and not know that I should just
done.
when it's done.
Yeah,
I even do that when I'm recording for other people, and I'm on my own. And typically, that's how I do all my tracks for everybody
That's how
else.
like everybody's working nowadays.
Yeah, so I'll get hired to do some guitar track or some vocal stuff, and I'll have it down, and then I'll spend literally another 2 hours doing the exact same thing, thinking I can get it better when I should have just kept the first take. Which thankfully with Pro Tools now, I keep all the takes, so I just go back to it and just realize I wasted 2 to 3 hours of my time. It's hard when you're doing your own stuff because you want it to be good, you want to impress people. But yet people don't care, So it's like you just got to put it out there, and it's hard as a perfectionist. It's just hard to let that go. You want it to be the best you can be, and then it seems like every other week your mood has changed, the ideas changed, and now you want to go back and fix it. Which I don't know where this quote came from, but it might have been. I think it was George Harrison was talking about John Lennon giving him advice about songwriting, and I might be wrong, so someone correct me on this, but George Harrison was saying when he was first starting to write songs and try to submit them to the Beatles records, I think he said that John gave him advice is like, once you get that idea, that initial idea, don't walk away from it, keep on it. Just stay on it for however long it's going to take you.
Right.
Because what you're feeling and experiencing at that time when you're writing that idea, whether it's like, musical idea or lyrical idea, the next day we all have a different feeling, and you'll never get that opportunity back. So I try to follow that kind of rule of thumb, at least for myself. And
that's got to be a little bit of a tough line to walk, though, because that all completely makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, you explore one thing, and then that leads you through potentially.
That's why I have a phone with 1,000 different song ideas and lyric ideas that I'll never look at ever again.
I'll write like a whole song in my phone on the voice memo. The drums are this, the bass is this, the vocals this, and then have never even go back and listen to them.
Sometimes when we're on the road and we do long tours and stuff like that, and I'm in my little seat and I'm just down I'll go back. Because when we're on the road, it's complete silence. Everyone's doing their own thing with their earbuds. But I'm just like, I'll go back and listen to some stuff, and it's just like, delete, garbage, delete. What was I thinking?
See, not me, man. I go back and I'm like, this is gold. This is gold.
So, it's, we'll see about my solo stuff. I mean, it's going to come out. My goal, and I say this every year, is to have something out by the fall of this year.
Yeah. Well, put out what helped me was and I'm terrible about putting stuff out too, but starting to do singles and just finish one song and put it out and not try to do. Right now I'm freaking in the full length album mire again, where I'm just bogged down and it's this is too big, it's never gonna get done, so just being no, I'm just doing singles, I'm gonna finish that and then put that out and finish and then put that out.
Honestly, I think that's helpful. I mean, Verve Pipe did that the last couple records. We would put out a single once a month or whatever,
right?
And then when the record came out, there might have been a couple songs that weren't I think the one, not the last record, but the record prior, the song I wrote for it, Famous Son, wasn't released. It was the last track that we recorded, and that was kind of the surprise track, I believe. Right. But we did all that, and then once you got the record, he's like, oh, here's one I haven't heard yet, kind of thing. So I think I see more and more artists doing that because honestly, I don't know many people, and including myself, that listens to a record front to back anymore.
It's different. I mean, even Peter Gabriel just did that. Every month he was putting out a single.
Oh, some of those tunes are amazing,
dude. Did you go to the show in Detroit?
I didn't. I heard about it though.
Oh, goddamn.
I bet.
Yeah, he's one of my all-time favorites. But it's just, I mean, even for him to just be in the single mode, doing that whole thing, it's
and he knows if anyone's gonna know what to do, follow that guy.
For sure. And it's also, he can do whatever he wants,
right? He doesn't have to do anything.
He doesn't have to do anything at all. Exactly. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that show was killer, and those songs, I freaking love that guy because he's what 75 or 60, and like the songs are like as good as ever.
Yeah.
Like maybe some of the best songs he's ever made.
The ones I've heard so far are
dude.
just like, they blow me away because it sounds like it could have been something that 20, 30 years ago that they put out.
He sounds just as good.
Yeah.
I mean, if it ain't Shock the Monkey at the end of the
true
day.
that. You can't go wrong with that shit. Yeah. But the other, we were talking about this with our buddy who was a recording guy last episode, is that he put them out. I don't know if you've caught this, but he put out 2 mixes of each song.
Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, Peter Gabriel. Yeah.
It was the record's called In and Out.
Yeah, it's called IO.
IO,
you know.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be the moon and the dark side of the moon.
He's had this thing about the moon forever, and like his fan club is like the Full Moon Club or some crap. Yeah, I've been in it for years, and but so anyway, he's calling them the bright side and the dark side mix, and he was like releasing them like flip flop, but it's basically he's just got like these killer mixers, and he's just kind of like,
wasn't that every full moon or something like that too?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so it was every month, so he's got this whole shtick going on with that or whatever, which was very cool.
Yeah, for him, it's amazing.
It was sweet. Yeah, you should have went to the gig though, dude. It was that was a bucket lister for me because it was like that's it. There's not going to be another chance. You know,
I remember like I don't remember what year was it now. It was in the 90s. I think he did the HBO concert.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I don't think I've caught that. I got some of his DVDs.
Yeah, it might have went out on DVD, but I remember I recorded on the VHS. Yeah, it was on HBO. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah. He's the man. Backing up a little bit. We sort of have met, I think, and I want to see.
You do look familiar. I got to say.
Well, so I've been going to RIT my whole life. Okay, I'm a big RIT music fan, and but I think you have worked on some of my guitars.
Probably that I do that. It's a lot of people. I try not to tell a ton of people this. I'm even though I want
you're
that.
not going to affect that on this.
No, I've been doing like as a side hustle, just because I was asked so many years ago, like 2003, I think I started working on guitars and amps because I went to school. I got an electronics degree for computer electronics.
Oh, okay.
So hence the amp. It kind of all works together.
Right. Cool.
So I got asked to work on, I'd work on guitars because I just knew how to work on my own guitars. And then I knew the electronics really well and got into the amps and stuff. And then just one thing led to another where it was like, of course, this was before Verve Pipe too for me. I was still playing. I was doing Rocket King at the time.
Oh yeah, I know Rocket King.
Yep. Yeah, I started that band with other guys. And
I didn't know you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
2000. I think we started in 2001.
Yeah.
And then, we did how many records? I produced the last. Well, they've got, I think, 2 records out after I left in 2016. But I think they put out either 1 record or 2 records since then with a different guitar player.
Gotcha.
But I produced the last Truth Will Set You Free record. I produced that and recorded most of it in my studio.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, so I had that gig, and I was doing some church gigs here and there, and I was playing with Carissa Wilson. I was just all over the place, and but I was doing repairs, and I was teaching. So I was teaching at the music store. I wasn't doing retail, thank God. Right. Got out of retail in 2001.
Well, this wasn't that long ago. This was only I needed some pickups swapped, and I just didn't feel like doing it. Yeah. And so I brought him into RIT, and I actually talked to Joel. He was on that day. So
so we all end up staying. What happened?
Right. And so anyway, so I get the guitars back, and I'm pretty sure the tag said that you had done the actual work. So I was going to show you the guitars and be like, you recognize these ones?
Oh, I'm sure I would totally remember.
Because they were two kind of, they're a little unique, so you might remember them.
So I was doing that in like 2003 or 4, something like that. And then I just kept doing it, and then one thing led to another, and I was like, hey, can you start working on amps? And and I don't want to work on certain ones like Fender and Marshall and Vox and stuff like that, because I'm familiar with those, and they're somewhat easy to work on. And then Fender came at me and was like, hey, we want you to be a certified tech. So I'm the certified guy in town. Nice. I don't know who else is doing that, but all I know is I get all the other store stuff. Right. Hey, this is under warranty.
I didn't know you were the man on that. We'll have to. I got some things. You ever heard of a Butler amp?
Yes.
You know Butler?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to work on that. So I'm still, even with the band with the Verve Pipe, I still, just because Scott, who owns a store now, Kaizuma, you know, me and him are really good friends, and, you know, everyone, we're all friends out there, and we've been around together for so many years. And so I still go in once a week. Sometimes twice if there's a lot going on. I don't have much going on outside of that, and you know, it's a side hustle for me. And you know, I do a mix of guitars, and I do violins and cellos as well.
Oh, dang.
I did that when Rip moved to Middleton's for a few years. I was kind of doing that for them.
Okay.
So now I don't do much now, just because Rip doesn't really sell those now.
Right.
But yeah, I get those in every once in a while. I'll do some violin setup and stuff like that. But yeah, so. Yeah. I'm at RIT once a week. So I try not to publicize that it's me doing it, because what happens is people come in, hey, is Lou here? And I'm like, and I'm like in the middle of putting some caps in an amp. And I'm like, hold on, I go out there, and then someone wants to talk, hey, I saw you play and listen, what are you doing here? You know, it's all that stuff, which I don't mind. But when you're, you know, I'm trying to fit a 12-hour day of stuff. You
got a whole bunch of stuff on the bench, and like everybody wants their stuff back.
Right. And so, I mean, I enjoy doing it. It's actually, for me, it's kind of almost like a outlet, because it gets me away from, I mean, it's still in the music part of it, but it gets me away from the playing part of it,
I hear that,
the creative part, let's say.
Yep.
But yeah, so I still do that once a week. And
I got super into building guitars a couple of years ago, and that was the same thing.
Too, hey, I got this kit guitar. Can you make it play better? I'm like, I'll try.
No, mine are good. I mean, they do. Sometimes I'll have them when I finish. I'll have them professionally set up, just that last step. But I mean, I know how to set up guitars and stuff. But but I do like to have a pro. I was having our friend. Do you know Russell from North Coast Guitars?
I know of him. I don't know him.
He's obviously a great luthier and everything, and I've been having him do work and stuff. And so, But anyway, I want to back up once again. Like, how old were you when you started getting into the guitar? Like, were you like really young?
Yes. So I mean, it's all like on my bio thing, but
which I clearly didn't read.
That's fine. I don't mind talking about it. So, growing up, my parents were immigrants from Italy. Oh, okay. So, where we lived, it was just a community of all like Italians back then in the 70s. I can't give away my age, but 70s. And everyone on weekends would get together, and there'd be these huge parties, family, friends, and stuff like that came in from Italy. Everyone kind of knew each other from the same here's the thing, is Rockford, Illinois, which I was born at, is at the time, and it might still be, was a sister city. It's a Catholic thing, a sister city of another Catholic church in Ferentino, Italy, where my dad was from.
Interesting.
So what they would do is they get people to come over, and that's how ended up being in Rockford. And so anyway, all these people from Ferentino, they all kind of migrated to Rockford, Illinois. I don't know why Rockford, but it was Rockford. And back then, all the communities kind of stayed together, you know, like the Irish had their own, it was all that kind of thing. And every weekend, there was, all I could remember my whole childhood was parties. Huge parties.
That's awesome.
Random people, you know, people maybe you only see once. I don't know what happened to some of them, but anyway. And my dad was a guitar player, like self-taught, and played accordion, and my uncle sang, and all my other uncles were musicians. It was all about music, and that was kind of the outlet outside of doing their jobs. Right. So every weekend it was just a get together, and you know the wives would all be baking and cooking for the party, and everyone else would be partying, and my dad would be entertaining everybody playing Italian songs. Damn. So what ended up happening,
Italians know how to do it.
Back in the good old days, in the kitchen where they belong. I think we can all agree on that.
So I guess I can't tell my wife, don't listen to this.
Kidding, love the ladies.
So anyway, my dad would throw a guitar at me and yell at me to, he'd show me basic chords like G and C, and all in Italian, like do, re, all that stuff, and yell at me. And he'd play accordion, and he'd be yelling chords at me. And I'd just be on this crappy classical guitar or whatever, because he wouldn't let me play his electric guitar. And I would be strumming these chords, and I hated it so much. I just wanted to play with my cousins and my friends.
Right.
But no, I had to stay there and play and entertain. And anyway, at some point, I took an interest in it. And then my mom and dad realized that, my dad can't really show me the right way. He's self-taught. He doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. So they got me hooked up with a classical guitar teacher in Rockford, Illinois. And I was there for 11 years, I think. And I was getting into classical only. Well, the other thing, though, there was no rock music allowed in our house, other than Beatles and stuff like that.
Okay.
Kenny Rogers, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But nothing like rock. Yeah. So, and when I go to school, back then everyone had those portable cassette players, not the Walkman style, the bigger ones with a handle on it. Yeah. And they'd be playing like AC/DC and Queen. I'd be like, what is that? And then I'd go and behind my parents' back and ask my teacher,
learning Queen riffs.
What is this? And I would kind of learn some of it, but I didn't really have a tape to play it to, so I didn't know. So I did that for, I was really into classical, competition and stuff like that. And I was into flamenco style.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. I mean, ask me to play that stuff now. No, you have to be dedicated and spend all your time doing it.
Seems like it'd be a use it or lose it.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then that was 5 when I started playing, and about 7 is when I first got into lessons.
Yeah.
So I took 11 years there. At the end of, my lessons, I was subbing for my teacher when I was 15 and 16. Yep. And I was gigging. I was 14 years old. I was gigging in a rock band. Yeah. And by that age, when you get to that teenage age, I'm going to listen to what I want. And my buddies would burn cassettes and I'd buy records. Yeah. And then I'd listen and try to learn the Van Halen solo or the Randy Rhoads solo or whatever it was. Yeah. And I cut my teeth doing that. And then the funny thing back then in Illinois was that, it's probably the same way, and it's probably the same way in most towns now, but you couldn't be in an original band. It was you'd play 3 to 4 sets a night. Yeah. You play mainly covers. Yeah. And then if you played originals, you'd have to mix them in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's my goal was I love to write music, write songs. Mm-hmm. And back then, but we couldn't really focus on that. So it was mainly learn, 3-4 sets. Right. But here I'm 14, 15 years old, playing on weekends in Chicago bars. And then being the most popular kid in school because you played in a bar. And and skipping school, learn songs, and and I didn't. My mom didn't even know what I was doing. I just had loads of cash, and
they think you're selling drugs.
Yeah,
and playing AC/DC songs, Mom.
Yeah, and. I did that for so many years, and I just got so burned out, and then I really wanted to just start writing songs. And so then I got into a band, then we released a little EP, and that kind of took off. We were getting looked at by Rick Rubin.
Oh, and damn, yeah.
It never, back then, so many things were going on. And,
sure.
And it just, of course, it's one of those things like most bands that you think something's going to happen and then get your hopes up and then something falls through. So I did that. And then this would have been late 80s, I stopped playing in bands and I was focusing on just trying to do more my own stuff. I was starting to build a studio, reel to reel, all that whole thing with the big 24 channel board and learning how to do it. Yeah. And, so I was mainly focused on writing my own stuff, and actually I was more into instrumental jazz. Okay. Lee Ritenour kind of stuff. Uh-huh. So I was trying to write that kind of instrumental, and I'd record it, and there was a few things that, my mom worked in a hospital, and there was random things would come at me hey, this guy has a board game, and he's going to put a cassette for kids that are having issues, and he needs background music while he's talking over it. And can you record the background music? So weird stuff like that, like random stuff like that. Or we have a friend of ours has a store and they want to do a commercial. Can you write some music for it? And I record it. And so that kind of led into that. And then I got back in with a lot of the same guys that I used to play in a band with. And then we started working on more rock stuff. And And that got me into like, okay, now I'm going to get ADATs. Because the ADAT was just starting to get big, and Alanis Morissette just came out, and she recorded everything on like a couple ADATs.
Okay. That's what I did. That's what my brother kind of taught me recording in a way, but that's what he started on. Basically, was ADATs.
I still have one. I still have one. Yeah. Which, I don't know if it just collects stuff.
I mean, if it's good enough for Alanis.
Yeah, exactly. And I just keep it just because I have so many ADAT tapes. Well, one of these days I'm going to take it. I'm going to transfer it. He was just looking
for an ADAT because I'll have to let him know. Maybe you guys can link up, because he was trying to get some stuff off of his old ADAT tapes. And he was like, I can't. And then he was like, to buy one, they actually have gone way up in value, apparently.
No.
Like, I guess
$50
what he's saying.
I was going to say, it's got to be
I don't know, man. That's what he said. I haven't looked. That's what he said.
I looked maybe a few years ago because someone brought it up to me, and I was just saying, I wonder how much this thing's worth. And it was like $50, $75.
I think they're more popular now. I mean, they're not $2,000 or nothing, but I think maybe they're $100,
I want to spend. At one time I had 3.
Yeah.
And I had that. What was it? The big remote control thing.
Okay.
And I'd comp drums.
Yeah.
Going back to the Butch Vig thing at Smart Studios, so we recorded all the tracks in my apartment studio.
Yeah.
Where I had 3 ADATs, and I was going direct, and I used it was a Mesa Boogie. What was a preamp? Triaxis, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Triaxis, the digital tube thing.
Okay, yeah.
And my rig was the Triaxis with like the power amp. It was way too much, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I used like one preset on the whole thing. It was like a $1,500 thing. And I went direct into that, and then recorded everything direct on ADAT, and went to Smart Studio. We recorded all the drums there, and we did multiple takes, and then I went home back to Grand Rapids, actually it was Grand Rapids at the time, and comped the tracks using the 3 ADATs and doing the off sync kind of thing. And then once I was done with that, I reamped all my guitars. We had a rehearsal spot, and I don't remember what the preamps were and stuff like that, but ran everything right through like the 2 Mesa power amp into the 412 cab, mic'd everything up, and just hit play, hit record, and just did every track one by one. Yeah. And then went back to Smart Studio and then let them mix the whole thing.
Okay. Damn. Man. The process back then.
Now it's so much easier.
Yeah,
it's almost really too easy that you get nothing done.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Now you got 500 takes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, like producers, are going back to what they call tape machine style of producing, where like it's like you're laying down a thing. Was that it? No. Can you beat it? You didn't beat it. Then we're going back to that one and moving on to like the next line or whatever.
That was the thing about Rocket King, is like our whole thing. Our singer Jesse Beveridge, his whole thing is like we got to record everything on tape.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
That's cool.
And it was very cool. It was expensive because, the tapes were really expensive back then. They were hard to get, too.
Yeah, they're still hard to get.
And then the last record that I produced, it was a mix of tape and Pro Tools. Mm-hmm. Just because I didn't have the tape machine, but our buddy Al McAvoy, who originally was at Station C, where we did our first 2 records. He took the tape machine there, bought it, and the board and everything. And then
I've talked to Al once. He was gonna master some stuff for me, but he was actually like on the road maybe or something, and I had to.
He's doing so good. He's on the road. He's he's an Emmy award-winning engineer.
Oh shit!
By the way. He won an Emmy last year.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah, this would have been maybe like 3-4 years ago, and he was on the road, and he was like, I can do it when I get back, but I needed it done, so I ended up doing something else. But yeah, I hear he's pretty good. Actually, it might have been Joel that turned me on to him. Actually,
Joel. Those two work a lot together. Yeah. So I had a master record that I produced a couple years ago, and
nice.
He's great.
Okay, well, I'll definitely have to try to get him. One of my big things is trying to get people that are really good to work on my stuff just because it's fun.
Sure,
it's like, it's like I could probably do this myself, but like that's not fun at all,
Yeah,
like
it's nice to have someone else's take on something.
for sure, yeah.
And then you like, because you're so like into what your thing, and it's just like it's hard to make like good decisions.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I try not to mix any of my own stuff. I don't really consider myself a mixer really either, but like when something's done, I'm like I want somebody else to do this. Now,
I did for a friend of mine, a pastor friend that retired from the church gig that I was playing at. He asked me for years. He asked me, "Hey, I want you to produce a record, my record, and I want you to do it all." And I was like, "Oh yeah, whatever." Mm-hmm. And then when he announced that he was going to retire, he's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to do the record." I'm like, "Oh, you're serious?" I'm like, "Okay." So he gave me the songs. He wanted to do all like free write songs, so classic hymns and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm like, "Well, if we're going to do this, I want to kind of like modernize it. I want to change it up and rearrange it." So I produced it, rearranged all the kind of stuff, and had him sing. And I was like, my goal was I'm going to have either Joel or Al mix it and master it. And so I'm like, and he's like, "No, I want you to do it all." I'm like, "Oh, man." So I remember I had a mix of it and I sent it and I was happy with it, but it was maybe 6 months I spent on this, the recording and the mixing of it for 9 songs. And I was really happy with it. I had all guest musicians come and play that we all knew. And I'd go back and forth with him. "What do you think?" He loved it. And I'm like, "Al, okay, I'm done. Al, can you master it?" Because Al was friends with him too. And he's like, "Yeah." So he mastered it. And then he sends a master back to me. It sounds great. And then like a week later, the guys that did the record for it was like, "Man, I have some notes for you." Yeah. I'm like, "Wait, it's done." And then I hadn't listened to it for maybe a couple weeks before that. And then I listened to it again. I'm like, "Oh, the vocals are too quiet."
Yeah.
And Al said something to me. He's like, "Oh, are you sure you're good with this?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's great, it's great." And the problem is I didn't take that break.
Yeah, you gotta take the break.
And because I was I was making so many decisions and redoing things over and over again because I wasn't sure, because I was so invested in it.
Yeah.
And so when he said that, and he was in my studio and we're listening to it, he was like, "Hey, here, I think I can't hear what I'm saying." I'm like, "Oh no." Yeah. So I'm like, he laughed, and I called Al, and Al, "I'm going to need you to, can I have you remaster this?" He's, "Oh yeah, not a problem. I got it saved on the template or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, thank God." And then I called my buddy. I'm like, "Hey man, give me a couple more weeks on this. I want to redo this and fix everything." And then I sent it back to Al, and he saved it. And I was at that point, but it's so,
man. When you're so into it, like trying to take the whole production all the way through, I just don't enjoy. I get bored, like I'm way more interested in the songwriting and the producing and the tracking and like getting that done. Then I'm kind of like, I'm bored with this. I want to do the next song. I don't want to sit there and freaking whatever. I mean, guys get so deep messing with the goddamn phase on the overheads and shit for 4 hours and stuff. I'm like, I'm not really interested. Like I'll let somebody else do that. I'll let somebody else go in and ultra tune every vocal if they want or whatever. Like I'm just kind of like,
it's such a lot of people don't realize that we're outside of that. Yeah. They think it's such an exciting, fun thing, but it's a daunting task to really do a lot of that stuff.
And that is why a lot of guys compartmentalize themselves a little bit. I mean, I have friends and whatever that in my network that are mixers. They want to be a mixer. So like I'll let them do that then if that's what they want to do, because I'm like, nah, I want to do the song and then you can mix.
I get so many people that, "Hey, we're like, our sound guy's not here for our gig. Can you want to like fill in?" I'm like, I don't do that. I mean, I know what to do, but I have probably no interest.
Better. There's a lot of live sound guys that are just terrible. Honestly.
I mean, I just don't even like. I don't even want to look at a mixer board. And then then they had the frustration of like, "Oh, where's that feedback coming from?" Like, well, I don't. It's not. Like,
and you got to know. You have no idea what their rig is. That's another thing. Like, how are you routing all this and like what's happening? And like, dude. Yeah. Have you ever worked on like an actual like console, like a big SSL or Neve or any of that kind of thing?
Yeah. So at Smart Studio they had I want to say it was an SSL. Mike Dollar, if you're out there, correct me if you hear this. He would remember. I think it was an SSL board. Yeah. So that. we were on, and when we were doing the mixing, and but like, that's where they recorded the Gish record.
But you weren't like the guy on the board.
No,
like,
but we helped. Back then it was like everyone, all hands on deck. All hands on deck. Yeah. Like do a fade.
The mix was a performance.
It was, yeah. It was because it was. So what they did, going back to that record, that I had the ADATs, the 3 ADATs, and then we recorded drums on analog tape.
Yeah.
We took the 3 ADATs. So what is that? 24 tracks? Or no? Is that 24 tracks? 8?
Are they all
8? 24. Yeah. 24 tracks. So it took the 24 tracks I had an ADAT with like the mix of the drums. Or no, it was eight tracks of drums.
Right.
And then everything else.
Yeah.
And then what we did was we took it back to Smart Studio, and then our guy transferred all 24 tracks to another reel-to-reel, and then synced 2 Atari machines together.
Oh, damn.
On that SSL board. SSL board.
Man, yeah.
And then it was all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And I remember like they had so many cool things, and Butch Viggs in the other studio re-recording or doing a dance mix of that
so
stupid
his
girl.
Studio.
At the time, yeah, that was his studio.
And that was in Wisconsin?
Madison.
Okay,
Madison,
yeah. Okay, yeah.
And it was a cool place. It was like like almost like a tri-level house.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you had
to haul all your gear way upstairs and shit, right?
Yeah, so they had a basement level that was like the recording rooms.
Okay.
And then they had the upper level, which were more the mixing rooms. Mm-hmm. And it was all like linked together. And then they had a commons area that everyone would just kind of hang out and the kitchen and everything. Real
nice,
cool vibe.
Hell yeah.
And so we were in like, I want to say Studio B, and Butch Vig was with his band Garbage in A, and they were doing a remix of it was a Stupid Girl. Was that the song? Yeah. At the time, it was a great song. And so we got all hanging with those guys. Sure. It was really cool. And, at one point we utilized, because we wanted to redo a few things. Of course, that's the way it works. We didn't have the budget, but we made the budget somehow, where we're using all the studios doing different things. Yeah. Had different engineers doing this. And but it was a very, very cool vibey place, and all the the records that came out of there. I'm like, come on. Yeah. We used the snare drum from the Gish record,
right?
Smashing Pumpkins, and stuff like that. And that was one of the cool things is to resample the drums, a snare drum that one song our guy, I can't remember his name, Mr. Cole, I can't remember the engineer's name. He didn't like the way the snare drum was, and he wanted to change it for one of the songs. So what he did is he mic'd up another snare in another room, in the studio room, put a horn speaker on the top of it, and mic'd up top and bottom the snare drum, played the track and mixing at the same time. And it was like someone was in the other room playing the snare, all the ghost notes and everything. Wow, and it was just that horn sitting on top of the snare, and he changed the whole thing. It's like what now they would do to the resample. But back then it was like, just use that.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But great experience. Yeah.
Kind of wish some of that shit was still the old analog stuff. They have to do stuff like that and get crazy and know what you're doing and stuff. Yeah. And now you can just download Superior Drummer and and I've done that, and that enables people to make great music that otherwise wouldn't be able to, and I get all that, but there is also this other side of I kind of wish you still kind of had to really get into it and know what you were doing, and get crazy and have to make shit up, and because I've never worked on a big console or anything, and I wouldn't even know how or anything, and it's I've never recorded anything on a tape machine or ran a tape machine or anything, and
it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing, is everybody's like, no, dude, it sucks, but I'm like, yeah, I know, but
so I had my first kind of main when I went to reel, it was Fostex. I wouldn't remember the model number. It was an 8-track.
Sure.
Fostex reel, and I had a Carvin 24x8 mixer board, and the only reason why I got that one, and I remember, it was like $5-6 grand.
Yeah.
The only reason I got that was because Steve Vai used that board to record his first solo.
He was all
record.
In on that Carvin stuff.
Yeah.
I used to have a
Flexible,
lot of Carvin
I think
stuff.
was the record.
Okay.
And I was like, I gotta have that board, and it's it's affordable. It's not ridiculous, like 10 grand or something.
Yeah.
And I saved up. I actually sold my car And
that's
got the
badass.
money, bought that board and that reel-to-reel, and bought some random like compressors and stuff like that, cheap. And that was it.
Now that stuff, those compressors that were cheap then were probably like, you're like, fuck. They were giving them away back then. Nobody wanted
no
it.
one wanted
now
them.
everybody's like, some whatever LA 3A or whatever you could get for $100, and now they're $2,000 or something. It's like, God damn.
Yeah, I did. And not only was I doing my stuff, but I was recording. Some bands would come in, like friends of mine. Hey, we want to record our band. And record a full drum set. And I was like, I got all the mics. I would borrow mics, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. And it's all like, I'm trying to like sub, because I have 8 tracks, and you got to ping pong. Yeah, you got to do more, right? Yep. So I try to subgroup everything into 5, and then we just mix it down, do stereo, and then we'd layer everything else on top of it. And I was like, you're committed.
Yeah, you're committed. I was gonna say that. It's like you commit, dude. That's it.
You can't go back. But I mean, it was an interesting process to go through that, and I learned a lot from the trials and errors of messing with that garbage. But it's funny, I had that board for years and years. I sold it at RIT with the road case, like not that long, maybe 8 years ago, because I was literally using it in my studio with Pro Tools. I wasn't using any of the channels. I was using it just for the faders, for the left and right. This huge board, and I had my typing keyboard on top of that.
And it was a Carvin?
It was a Carvin 24x8.
Which I don't think we're exactly like well regarded.
No.
I mean, it's fine.
No, it was garbage. But it had a vibe, that was the 80s kind of thing, late 80s. And I think I ended up selling it with the road. I had a road case.
Yeah, which is hilarious too.
Which is totally hilarious. I think I sold the whole thing with the road case for like $500. The road case, I think, cost me $500.
I know, right. Hey, even if you got somebody to even buy the thing nowadays. My brother's got his old whatever mixing console thing that's just been stacked up in his corner. He doesn't know what to do with it. Can't get rid of it.
What I liked about the analog console is that it did had a vibe to it, and you can easily distort on it. The issue I had with it, and I guess it's with any board really, is like the constant maintenance. Like all the pots get scratchy, then you have to take the thing, get this heavy thing, flip it over, get to the pots, spray them all down, and it's just a nightmare. And then I remember with that band, that prog rock band that came out here with, we started playing live, and we played with tracks, and we had a Mackie, whatever, the 16 in a rack. And then we played the keyboards were all tracked. So the drummer played a click, and we had the Garwood, the in-ear monitors, the first ones around town. And that board, man, like I get them now working at the music store every once a week. Like Scott will come to me, hey, this guy has a Mackie board. Can you go through it? I'm like, no, sorry.
They're not meant to. A Mackie board, dude. That's kind of like hey, let's probably just buy a new one.
Exactly. It's like give up on this thing.
They do the job when you for a live thing or whatever.
They're fine, and they're fine for what they are. But once they start going bad, there's really no looking back.
This is not some Eve that needs to be saved, dude.
Right.
Yeah, man. So what's the deal with the prog rock band then? Was it like, what kind of prog rock are we talking about here? Like Genesis style prog?
It was more like a Queensryche.
I love Queensryche.
Yeah, like we were really into like Operation Mindcrime.
Dude, one of my favorite records of all
whatever
time.
the record was after that too. Empire.
Yeah.
We were really
I got to
into
open
that
for
at the time.
Queensryche. That was my last big gig.
Rocket King opened up for, what was the singer's name?
Jeff Tate.
And he was playing saxophone and so
he plays sax. Yeah.
And no, I saw him back in the day when I was younger. Like I followed him all over the place.
When he was a bit dude back in the day, that guy could fucking sing. Man.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And I heard a clip recently, not recently, maybe 6 months ago or so, of whoever the replacement singer is, and he sounds just like him. He sounds great, and they're doing the Jet City Woman or whatever it was,
or something like that.
Yeah,
well, not to get off track here, but I was a huge Queensryche fan, and they split up really fucking publicly and all that. It was right after we played them. That was like their last tour, basically. And I first of all, I hate that shit. He knows I bitch about it on here all the time. When bands break up really publicly, I basically can't listen to the band anymore. But everybody was like anti Jeff Tate, and I was like the only guy who was like on Jeff Tate's side. Like, it's not Queensrÿche without Tate. I don't care.
You know, that I mean, I hear you. I mean, that's the problem with nowadays when, you know, there's a whole like mystique about the old famous rock stars and the stories, and then, you know, you got Ozzy Osbourne on his TV show, and it just like changes the whole
that did ruin it, dude.
I think of him as like some other kind of being. Now I'm saying, oh, he's a regular douchebag that had, you know, he had other people write his songs for him. He had a kind of a cool voice. You know, it just ruins the whole thing. It really did.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys that were super big into Black Sabbath and Ozzy and everything that were like that show. Just like, you know, it was funny for everybody else, but like this was like something that was like important to us, and like, you know, and I'm not saying that nothing bad about him, obviously.
No, I get really influenced by his bands in the early days, but it just that whole thing in general with all those kind of bands, and you don't want to see all that. You don't want like the ins and outs of people's like private lives.
Sort of the problem with a lot of things today in general with bands like that. So your band, that's awesome. It was prog, like kind of prog metal.
Yeah, it was called The Light in Between.
Okay.
I know I've got CDs somewhere. I'll send you one.
Because we were super influenced by Queensrÿche too. I mean, this was later, but with that, we just loved that, and we were big into Dream Theater and that shit too.
So like towards the end, we were kind of influenced by that as well. Because that first record they put out, and again, we were trying to be like that, and it was too late by then. You know, it was like if it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it would have been great. And we play around here, we play in Detroit and stuff like that, and you know, musicians would love it. But the regular people that want to rock out, they're like, "What the hell is this?"
I know,
shit?
Trying to drink beer.
Guys could have brought it back, man. The darkness was going for that.
The funny thing about the darkness is when after that band, and I was kind of in a lingo time, and in lingo, and that's when. One of my friends that I was hanging out with, Kenny Roberts, he and Chris Cooney, if you know him, guitar player, they were talking about putting a rock band together. And the deal was this rock band was going to have no effects. It was just going to be pure rock and roll. Just cable into amp, turned up to 10.
To a Marshall.
And I'm like, I'm in. So we all knew all the musicians, and then I got Jesse. We got Jesse to come in and sing. He wanted to play drums, but Jesse came in and sang, and then it exploded. 2001, we were just like, it was nonsense. It's party like we were rock stars. A bunch of nonsense. I mean, literally nonsense. There's so many great stories, and we were just taking over, like just doing whatever we want. We were like always on the radio, like being the guests, like idiots. The beer, like morning shows, and you know, getting drunk at 8 a.m. And we put out that record. It was great, like sold out CD release at the old intersection, and Darkness comes out. Everyone was like, "Oh, you guys are like the Darkness." I gotta be honest with you. And Brian, if you're hearing me, Vander Ark, we and him go back, and he's like, he doesn't understand why I never liked the Darkness. I just do not. You know what? Those guys are great. I couldn't deal with Justin Hawkins. Rides Again, his show, his singing.
It's something else.
I love his show, his YouTube show. I love his show. It's great. You gotta watch it. It's great. I couldn't deal with the vocal, and just drove me nuts. And everyone was like, "These guys are great." And everyone compared us to that, and I was like, "No, I don't want to be compared to them." And at the time, it was a GRD or LAV. Or what was the other one?
KLQ.
That was it. It was GRD and KLQ. They were really pushing us to try to like get somewhere with it, and all these people were trying to get in contact, and we were just asses. We would be like, "Oh, you know what? We don't do that. We don't do this." All we had to do was just sit there and have a meeting with these people. We were just like bigger. We thought we were bigger than anything, and. It was. I mean, I look back on it. It was so much fun. So much fun.
So what was that band? What was
that? Was the Rocket King.
That was Rocket King. Okay. Gotcha.
And then, you know, people start flaking and getting fired, and you know, a bunch of nonsense, and then that last record that I put out, "Truth Will Set You Free," it took so long. when I was producing it, so we were kind of writing in stages, and we had all the songs down, and then I was in Verve Pipe at the time, and Verve Pipe was going to finally release a rock record, Overboard.
Yeah.
And Al McAvoy was working on that one too.
Okay.
And he's mixing the Rocket King. And it was probably, we already had paid Al to mix the record, Truth Will Set You Free. And it probably sat on the shelf for about a year.
Right.
Because he was so focused on the Overboard record.
Yeah.
And, I'm stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
I got Jesse, you're like, what, is our money not good enough over Verve Pipe money? I'm like, dude, I don't know. And, it came out and it was great. I'm still really proud of what it turned out, those songs. I love those songs. And I mean, it's a shred. I mean, not shred, but like bluesy Rocket King kind of shred.
Okay.
And, I experimented a lot with different instruments and banjo and stuff like that. Yeah. And a lot of like vocal harmonies, a lot of catchy stuff. And by then I was so the Verve Pipe was really taking up most of my time. Yeah. And not like Rocking was playing a lot, but those guys wanted to play a lot more, and I just couldn't give it all to it. Yeah. And the other guys had, like, I was the only one that didn't have a day job. I'm like playing for a living and maybe fixing a few guitars and amps here and there and teaching, but I didn't have like a day job, and all these other guys had day jobs. Yep. So it was easy for them to be like, oh, we're gonna play on the weekends for nothing to gain fans. And I'm like, whoa, I need to get something here. I can't, what? Yeah. So it just got to a point where I was like, I gotta like make a change here. I gotta focus on something that's making money. Yeah. And that can further my career. And I love those guys. And I was just talking to Jesse today, and they're still doing good. And and he's got to work on some of my solo stuff with me. And,
nice. Is there a Rocket King drum set for sale at RIT right now?
So Kenny's kit. So
I saw it. I was in there the other day.
It's a Sonar White, and it's still there. It's a great kit. Yeah. So he got that from. What's funny is the drummer at the end of the Light in Between was working at Chris Stanky, who's now the Sabian Artist Relations rep in LA. He played with Domestic Problems at the time and toured all over the place, and he had an endorsement with Sonar. Yeah. And he got that kit. Nice. And then when he was selling it at RIT, Kenny bought it from him. And that's it. Yeah. And the funny thing about that kit is it was really just our practice kit at Kenny's place where we rehearsed. Jesse Beveridge had his own kit with like the Monster, the 28-inch kick drum, which they still use, that Monster kit. So live we would mainly use that. But when we do the special shows back then, we have two drummers. Oh, okay. So trying to be like the Allman Brothers. That was our dream band. We always wanted, going back to Truth Will Set You Free, I did all the organ stuff on it too, to make it more like Allman Brothers, because that's what we loved, or Government Mule, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I would like to have a Sonar kit. That's why I was looking at it. I love Sonar. I'm
sure
drums.
Scott will give you a great deal.
Yeah, he probably would. But I need another drum set. Like, I need a fucking hole in my head. I got two kits now, and they're more than I possibly need.
I mean, honestly, that's like with guitars. You just look at, like, I just got another guitar. I'm going to put a release out here soon about it, because I'm just I'm totally hacking it up.
Well, let's hear what you get. You heard it exclusive here first. What'd you get?
So I have a thing now where I work on everyone else's guitar, that now I have I know what I like in guitars. Yeah. So the first thing I do is refret it. Okay. So I put jumbo frets on. Uh-huh. And I do that with all my guitars.
I like a jumbo. That's when I do them now, that's what I get.
Yeah. So my latest guitar, it was a return at the music store. And it was a brand new Fender Pro, American Pro 2. Okay. Strat. Okay. I don't need another Strat. I got a custom shot Strat for you.
Kind of a Strat guy.
I use more Tellies live now, but I have a Strat that I bring out. I use it for many years live in the studio. I still use it, but so this guy brought this back, and Scott was like, "Oh, what am I do with this? I got to sell it for use." And I was like, "Well, what do you got into it?" And anyway, it was a great deal for me. I'm like, "Well, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's a good deal." And first thing I did was rip the frets off. Yeah, take a few millimeters off the back of the fretboard, and I was going to scallop half of it, but then I realized it was a rosewood fingerboard, and the veneer wasn't that wasn't thick enough to do a proper scallop, because I have another guitar.
You did it?
Oh yeah, I do them well.
Okay, yeah.
And so I chickened out on that because I was I'm going to go into the maple, and I don't want that. So in the tall frets, it doesn't matter. I don't need the scallop on that one. Yeah. But yeah, he shaved the back off, restained it, or sealed it, and So
that's a bold move on a guitar like that.
Duncan sent me the Billy Gibbons.
Ooh.
So normally I've been using the Duncan on all my guitars, Tellys and Strat, is the little 59 in the bridge.
Okay.
Use that on so many records and live. I mean, that's basically that's my sound, is that. And when Billy Gibbons about 6 months ago, came out with a new Duncan, which is supposed to mimic the 59 Les Paul in a Strat size mini humbucker. So I'm like, I'll have them send me that. So I got that in the bridge. I'm waiting for the hot stack still. I'm going to hot stack in the middle, which is it's a pretty common stacked single coil. Get that Nashville kind of sound. A lot of Nashville guys use that. And then a regular single coil vintage Fender in the neck. So I'm just waiting for some covers to come in, and I'm setting this up for the tremolo. So I put a new graphite nut on it.
Yeah.
I had old locking tuners from my old Telly that Fender sent me that I don't like locking tuners.
Me either. I was gonna say I'm a locking tuner kind of.
The only time you need a locking tuner is if you're going to use a tremolo. Which this guitar I'm going to use a tremolo.
Sure. Okay.
And I have it amped up. So normally I have my tremolos always blocked back down. So if you break a string, you're not screwed.
Yeah.
This one I'm going to use the tremolo for light vibrato.
Yeah.
So I didn't want the locking tuners.
Right.
So I took those old Telly ones and put those on there.
I just don't like them anyway. I
They're a pain.
always
Like if you have to change strings, I can change a string in 15 seconds on a regular guitar.
Yeah.
On a locking, thing, it takes longer.
To me, it's also it always felt like trying to solve a problem that didn't exist to me. I'm like, I'm not having like problems.
Yeah. Why do you need a locking tuner on a guitar that you're not even using the trem, or it doesn't even have a trem?
Yeah.
Like my Telly that Fender sent me back in, it's Elite. It's one of the first Elites, American Elites with compound radius that a Fender sent me. When they first came out, like probably 7 years ago, it had locking tuners on there. Like, why?
Yeah. Or like Les Pauls with locking tuners.
Yeah, why?
And I'm not a trem guy at all. I actually went back and when I got into building guitars and stuff, I actually went back to my guitars that I had blocked them off and actually kind of reset them up with the trem's actually work and shit. But I've never been a fan of that, So
like I have one of the guitars it was kind of a kit guitar, like a Charvel kind of kit thing.
Yeah.
I did a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and it's if you look at my YouTube stuff, you see me play like any of the Van Halen stuff covers that shred oriented.
The Super Strat.
So it's a Charvel knockoff, but that's when I scalloped the neck.
Oh, okay.
And it's got like pearly gate pickups in there, and it's got the floating trem. Nice. Luckily enough, I've never broke a string on it, but I don't play it all the time. I only play when I have to play those kind of songs.
Yeah, like Floyd Rose floating shit on whatever. I'm just not a fan.
So back in the 80s when I was a kid, that was the RG 550, the Ibanez, which I still wish I had.
People still love it, but
I was back then. I was like, I had the whole tremolo technique down, the whole like bending up, and
I never cared. I was playing Metallica riffs. I wanted my right hand. It was like just like down picking everything, like beating the crap out of the strings.
Yeah.
Like I had no tremolo. All right, so we've been doing this thing. I got to explain it every single time. We moved in here, and I had all my CD collection and stuff, and I had to get rid of some CDs, and I ended up with this stack of it was about 30 CDs, and this is the last, we're down to the last 3 tonight, so we got a good guest here. And so the thing is, I ended up with this stack of about 30 CDs that I don't know really what the hell they are, or what they sound like, or what it is. I bought a lot of records that were just based on the artwork, or you ended up with something or whatever. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to play the first song off the CD, and we're going to vote if it stays in the collection. So that's the name of the segment.
Are these artists that I would know?
Possibly. Okay. We don't really know exactly, but they're not like local bands or like something like, they're like a legit, it was printed, I bought it somewhere, you know, like, so it's like a commercial release. Yeah. So, and I actually took the liberty this time of preloading after all this time. Wow. I know, it's sitting here fumbling with the CD player. And we'll take a look at the artwork, which kind of ruined it too, because I preloaded, and so I already looked at the ones, which kind of, I know when I was doing it, I was kind of like, that kind of takes away from some of the fun of it, but
the mystique.
Yeah, but so, all right, so this first one here is this project. I remember buying this. It's called Neverending White Lights. Okay, and it's some dude, I think he's Canadian, and a
lot of maple syrup references.
You could smell the maple syrup in the disc. I could be wrong on that, but he put together this project, and this is actually cool, and I don't know if any of it's any good, but where he like made all these tunes, and he like somehow managed to get a bunch of his favorite singers to sing on them. So it'd be like some rando like me, who's just some guy like getting like bigger.
Like guys. Who? Like what were the big acts?
So some of these guys I was really into at the time, and I still love some of these singers. There's Nick Hexum from 311 was on it.
Yeah, okay.
Scott Anderson from Finger 11, which I'm a massive Finger 11 fan. Rain from Our Lady Peace, who I'm a massive Our Lady Peace fan. So that was actually, I think, how I heard about this project.
So I take this is kind of going to be heavy.
I don't think it is.
Oh, it's not.
I don't really remember. I know I listened to it, but we're going to listen to the first song, which is...
You would throw it totally off if you said, and Bryan Adams was on this.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. But that's the thing, is that his whole thing is like, trying to get these... There's some others too. There's a lot of other random people I don't know on here.
Good on this guy. How did he pull this off?
That's what I'm saying.
Pretty, like, reasonable, especially for when I assume this was made. Like, those guys were fucking in there.
This must have been...
It's well played.
Early 2000s perhaps or something like that. So the first song though is the guy singing, so it's all down to you here, pal. If you don't got fucking Matt Talbot from Hum, did I say?
Oh no shit.
It's got Matt Talbot on it. We're big Hum fans. So we're gonna find out, bro, if your epic thing stays in the collection. And this is like, it's like volume 1.
And I'm the one that gets to decide?
We're gonna all vote. So it's gonna be 2 out of 3. But kinda it's gonna be you. Yeah.
That might not be a good idea.
I feel like with the names this guy is pulling down, it's almost gotta be a keeper.
I know this one almost kind of is such a unique thing, and what's hilarious to me is it's really smug, like Act 1, and like he was gonna do a bunch more of these, and I don't think he ever did, like could never pull off anymore. I get it,
That's kind of the move, is just going Act 1, and it's like
Act 1.
Act 1,
starring the guy from Our Lady Peace.
We accomplished what we need to here. There's no need for a sequel.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of record art and stuff, so that's part of it too, is we kind of everybody's got to check out the artwork and see, put that into your voting here. Let's see if I can...
You know what I feel like should be done? You should be making a collage of the didn't make it records with the album art from the...
and just put it up here.
Failed attempts.
All right,
Hall of Shame.
So this is track 1 off of Neverending White Lights. It's called From What I Once Was, and this guy's name is Daniel Victor, is the guy who put this together and is singing on it.
I don't know about the 2 first names. That's a bit of a red flag right off.
All right, here we go.
Love it.
It's
very minimalistic.
Some sort of weird... He was walking up to the piano there or something, I think. Okay.
I like this.
Yeah.
I mean, you might not have been too far off based on that Bryan Adams cover retrospect. I don't know.
He's got Geddy Lee on here.
I could tell it's going to get metal. Just this chord progression.
The slow build, baby.
I like it.
Yeah, it's very
Ooh, I like the octave vocal.
It's pretty cool artwork. It's pretty goth. Oh yeah, I kind of remember this now.
I can picture double bass coming in somewhere.
I hope it does. I don't think it does, though. I think this whole thing's pretty mellow.
Oh. It's very 70s prog rock to me, like old Genesis, maybe.
Okay.
We got kind of a pseudo Opeth vibe on some
it does. Yeah. It does kind of have the Opeth artwork.
That double bass is still coming. Just wait, it's coming. It's coming.
I'm gonna remix this with the double bass. Dude. I'm gonna just lay down some drums to this. Here we go.
Oh yeah. I dig it. I dig it a lot.
I kind of dig it too. I do kind of remember this from back in the day. I don't think it got a lot of play in my collection. I think I played it like one time. I think I even had to like special order this shit, you know? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like a mix of like Peter Gabriel Genesis and Pink Floyd.
Yeah. It's got some of that like. There was like a lot of female artists of this era. Like, were you ever into like Sarah McLachlan and shit like that? It kind of reminds me of that kind of production.
Yeah.
Like the dark piano.
Yeah, personally, I don't think about music in terms of gender, but you know, that's just me.
Come on, man. When the double kick's coming, all right.
Yeah.
Let's get to the. Like Jeff Tate guest stars on it or something.
Yeah, this is one Tate on the sax short of being a keeper for sure.
Yeah.
Dude. This reminds me very much of some band that I can't put my finger on from the mid-90s, and it's breaking my balls right now. It's really bugging me. I can't think of who it is.
I like it a lot. I think it's great.
Big fan of the synth half in the background.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Got the choir. Got the London Philharmonic Children's Choir.
And this is the opening song.
Yeah, this is I think this is him kind of setting up the vibe here, you know, for the.
That's pretty ballsy.
There's like
have.
19
This is your opening
tracks.
song.
To your point, though, I feel like there's the potential for another like subsequent songs to really start rocking out. I don't think it's happening here.
I don't think they do. I think everything's like really kind of mellow.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. If what I remember, I couldn't tell you, but.
Well, they could have ended it maybe a minute ago.
Yeah. He's really laying this down. Dude, the London Philharmonic Children's Choir does not come cheap, so you really gotta like
get your use out of them.
dude.
Yeah.
Going for that Jimmy Eat World clarity 5.5 minute outro to every song that could have been avoided.
It's like the greatest outro of all time, that record.
Yeah, see, this line reminds me of what was the girl chick singer.
See?
Real big in the 2000s. Evanescence?
Yeah.
Yes.
It reminds me of the end of Faith No More Epic.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Where the fish is like,
The fish flopping.
They got all the
piano.
slack they got on that.
That's a call I haven't heard.
With the fish.
Oh, man, that's a great song, too. All right. So I think I'm going to have to allow that. I think that's pretty cool. I think probably the novelty of this record being what it was and having all these, I'd like to at some point probably play the whole thing and like actually check out what these other guys are doing and whatever. So my vote is it's going to stay in the collection.
If we're judging solely on the first song, I've got to give it a reluctant pass. I feel like there's more potential to it. I don't dislike it, but I don't know that I can do an entire album of that. I dig the song in the abstract.
I like that song, but it's hopefully the songs other than that have a little bit different vibe to it, because if the whole record sounds like that, I'd be like,
I feel like Nick Hexen was an interesting choice if that's the entire vibe of the album. Like, let's get this
but
guy.
I like that. I like that song. It's something almost like you would hear. Like I listen to a lot of Spectrum, new artists.
Okay.
That are just kind of a little different, but kind of getting popular. That's kind of like what I would hear on Spectrum.
It's pretty cinematic. You can hear a song like that on some fucking some montage
like a German Netflix slasher movie that's been dubbed. That's what it sounds like that. Yeah.
like a Dark, that show Dark. Dude, I was obsessed with that show.
Talking about Joel and I when we were on the road, all we do was talk about that. I was like, did you see this? Oh my god! That show. My wife was she watched it at least 3 times, and I caught it the 2 other times from watching with her. And I told her, it broke her heart, because she had a whole thing on like all the characters and a whole roadmap, like who is who. And I'm like, someone already did that. And you can go online and see someone already had it done. She's like, what? I spent all this work. She had this whole map of all these people. Like, who's
I actually
who?
got the soundtrack, the playlist, somebody put together every song that's in that. There is some great music in that.
I love that. I love that show.
The dub job on that show
was amazing.
And I always wonder how much of that is dependent upon the language being dubbed versus just a really killer. Like it's got to be harsh.
Normally the voice doesn't match when you're looking at the person. It doesn't really, not that their lips are moving the same, but like I can't picture that voice coming out of that person.
That's the thing. It always is, there's some sort of disconnect, and that one didn't feel that disconnect.
It was so good. So good. And then the show that came on after that wasn't that good.
Yeah, it was okay. 1899 or something like that. It was all right.
And they didn't finish it, remember? They got canceled.
It didn't hit the same.
But I mean, I kind of dug that too. But it was different. It was different.
I gotta say, I'm perfectly fine with subtitles. I don't need the dub over. I hate to be that guy, but like the subtitles, it doesn't
either way. It doesn't matter to me. But I think for that one, I didn't have the subtitles, and I thought it was.
They did such a good job.
Sometimes I don't want to read the thing, and be able to kind of zone out to something, like especially in an atmospheric show like Dark, where it can get weird and shit. But I love that show. I actually started writing music sort of based around some of that show, because I just had the guitar in hand, and it kind of like seeps in a little bit and whatever, So.
Yeah, it makes me want to watch it.
I know. We're gonna have to come into the pod lounge. We'll watch all 3 seasons in a weekend.
I still never finished the last season. I only saw like the first 2 episodes of it. I don't know. It was just one of those things where you get busy with life. And I fucking loved it.
You have to watch it.
You know how I am with that shit. I think they that one too, though, they were like, all right, guys, you got to wrap this up. They
could have went on.
I think Netflix.
But here's I thought the amazing thing about that show, that the intertwining of the characters going like future to past and all this stuff, like a lot of times you're like, oh, I know what's going on, and this show was so well the vines of the characters where they're moving. It just was so well thought out. It was brilliant.
Well, what's hilarious about it though is I watched all the behind the scenes shit, and it's like a couple that made it, basically. Like the guy was the director and she was the writer or whatever.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And she was kind of saying, actually, kind of like, I actually had no idea what I was doing.
Oh no.
She was kind of, it was a little like, she was like, people would be like, what? This makes no sense. And she's like, yeah, I know. I'll figure it out.
So. I think sometimes that's the magic for that kind of stuff. That is kind of how it works. There's something to be said for, like, in theory, it's great to have all the knowledge in the world about a given subject or genre or whatever, but also then you're falling into those little pre-cut trenches of, like, this is the path you go down for this. It's kind of cool to come at it with a, I don't know what the fuck's going on type view.
That kid's in some new show about World War II or something.
Which kid?
Now. The kid who is like kind of the star of the show with the yellow raincoat and
what was his character?
Jonas.
Jonas.
He's starring in some pretty big like show with like it's like Mark Ruffalo and is it a German show? No, I don't think so. But it's a big Netflix series, and it's called. I got to think of it because
is it out right now?
Yes, it came out a little while ago. It's called something about the light we never see, the light we don't see, or some crap. And so Susan and I were like Dark. Like it's like another way of saying the word dark. So we're like, it's like all the light we do not see or something.
New show, Absence of Light.
I know.
Man.
Yes,
It's incredible.
You mean the dark? You know, like so. I just ripping on him.
In fairness,
Yeah.
Ruffalo fucking dominant.
This is some
Ruffalo's
crazy.
tremendous in everything he's in.
I didn't watch it, but it's like it's about like World War II, and it's like some blind girl has some kind of underground radio show or something, and that's the setup. I didn't watch it, but it looked.
Oh my gosh, I know. I saw.
It looks
I watched
really
it.
good.
I know.
Yeah,
I watched it. It is
that's
great.
That's the kid. That's that.
It is. I just realized that.
Yep.
My wife and I watched the whole thing, and it was great.
Yeah,
it was
we were
great.
like, because we were like, who is that?
And
kid?
it had
like,
the
what?
doctor guy. What was his name?
Oh, I see. From
the British guy
Okay.
played a doctor.
In Dark.
No, he played it on TV, a network, NBC show.
Oh, okay. Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie was in it.
Yeah.
And yes, it was actually a really good. It was really good.
Yep.
I think it was based on a true story.
Yeah,
right?
it might have been. Yeah, or at least originally.
I think I've gotten enough of a taste out of doing a radio show that nobody listens to to need to watch that one. So that might be a soft
we're not
pass for
exactly
you.
Saving anybody with this piece of shit show. All right, so I think the Neverending White Lights is going to stay in the collection though.
I
overall,
like it. Yes.
All right. So this next one here. This one, I really have no fucking idea what it is, but I also like to take a guess. It's definitely going to be some sort of punk rock, like emo-y punk rock kind of thing. It's called For the Good of the Nation. Oh, that's the name of the record. The band is the Sea Peoples. S-E-E. The Sea Peoples.
Sea Peoples.
I'm going to allow that.
For the Good of the Nation. We'll pass this around. It's got some kind of cool clip art thing. You can tell that's probably some sort of 2000s punk rock. I'm gonna guess,
without question.
Yeah.
The token blackout line thing.
Yeah, we get it. You're
Indeed,
against capitalism. We
indeed.
get it. You know, it's like that's like what it is. You know, like the American flag's crossed out. Dude.
Oh yeah, no
we're
question
punk
about
rock.
it,
You
dude.
know, like okay.
This token letters cut out of the magazine.
But somehow I ended up with this, so I don't know. This might have been some band I saw or something. I have no idea what this is. So.
And where are they based out of?
Couldn't tell you. No clue. I'm going to say the Midwest, though, by looking at it.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'm pretty good at picking out stuff like that. All right, well, here we go. Let's just go ahead and play this track one. Okay, 2002. The genre actually says rock. Now that I imported them in, it actually tells you a little bit. For the Good of the Nation by the Sea Peoples. Track one is called View from Here.
Why, hello, Mary. Not going to work this morning, are you? It's such a lovely day.
These guys appear to be pretty staunchly against anything Catholic.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary.
Trying to sell their CDs. They're anti-capitalism, you know.
Let me know how well that works out for you. Yeah.
I'm going to allow the intro, though. That was creepy.
Oh, man. I don't even know what this gibberish is.
Yeah. There's a lot going on here. Okay, wow. Some dissonant tubas here.
Damn, dude.
This would be like what? It sounds like if I just found a trombone, you know?
Got Joe McDonald up on the...
Like if you called me and you're like, dude, can you come play some trombone on my record? This is what you would get.
Whoa.
Okay,
I didn't see
that's-
that coming. Yeah.
This is more like trip hop or something.
Interesting, yeah.
I think this might be something I got from Skoke. This
That
has got
checks
Skoke
out, yeah.
written all over
That
it.
album cover's got Skoke written all over it there, bro.
All right. I actually kind of dig this kind of
I would not have
lo-fi
seen
trip-hop
this
shit.
coming from
Yeah, me either.
that whole deal.
This sounds like a 1970s Starsky and Hutch scene.
Yeah.
They're gonna like take down some dudes.
Sabotage.
They're en route right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got the
Smoking
shades
a
on.
cig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's burning
Yeah, it
heaters.
I dig it.
Big ass fur lapels on the
Yeah.
coast. Yeah.
This is kind of the same genre. They call it like a... I forget the exact genre, but like fuck, now I'm spacing on it.
I'm gonna allow this bass line.
Moby,
It's
yeah,
like
oh yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. dig it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A nice kit there. It's poppy snare. Just smoking fat blunts.
Yeah.
Fucking
little funk element creeping in there, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking loving this. This is definitely some soundtrack of your life type shit. I just want to do awesome things while listening to this in the background.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
A lot of me playing Contra listening to this.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this from that title.
No, yeah. Got those space echoes on that Moog or whatever.
Yeah, man. Are you familiar with Goose?
No.
The band Goose? Similar to this, the instrumental part of it.
Right.
I mean, there's vocals on there, but their stuff, but it has that vibe.
Yeah.
And a younger guys.
Right.
I wonder if this is all instrumental?
It'd be like when you're going to get coffee at some place. This would be what you hear in the background.
The baddest ass coffee road in the history.
Oh, fuck capitalism.
Yeah.
It's got a little Tarantino vibe.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
Jackie
totally.
Brown type thing, maybe.
Yeah, you definitely hear that in like
What's
a
that
movie.
fucking band that's like it's like deep underground and the female singer? It's kind of the similar vibe of Moby, you know. I know you fucking know.
Female singer.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of Digital Underground with the Humpty Dance.
Deep
if I'm not
underground.
mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but it's of that same era where it was like kind of that lo-fi, trippy, like, you know. Anyway, the Sea People's unexpected winner here, kind of. That was pretty fucking sweet. I'm going to allow that.
I like it a lot.
Shit out of that with the album cover version.
I really
of the
thought it was
song
going to be 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They should have started with the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, they
and then
should have,
led into that, in fairness. It's my only gripe with it.
I'll allow. I'm going to have to allow that, though. For me, that stays in the collection.
Oh, that's
I
a
think so,
hard
yeah.
stay.
I agree with
We're
that.
doing
I
pretty
agree
good
with
here.
that.
We're doing pretty good. Getting her done here. There's been some real stinkers, but we're kind of 2 for 2 so far. So, all right, moving on. Here's the last one for this whole segment until we find a used CD store and buy some more crap. Till we get some Lou's old bands here in.
Bring a bunch of old CDs.
That maybe is what we should do next. Is let's all get our old bands records together.
just
Mine are
review.
sitting up here,
This
but
Holloway
trying to
shit,
give
what
them
the
away
hell
to
is
people. And so I know what this one is, and I knew what it was, but I couldn't tell you what it's going to sound like. But this is Greg Edwards from Failure's band after Failure broke up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I thought it was also had Paul
I think
Diamore.
I've heard this before.
But it does not have Paul Diamore. I was incorrect. Paul Diamore was the original bassist for Tool.
Yeah.
And all those guys were pretty tight. But so I remember this actually had a video that got actually aired on MTV and shit.
Yes.
Because Ken Andrews went and did Year of the Rabbit and all that. And these guys were doing this, but I think it pretty well. I think it pretty well flopped. I don't think.
Was this the bass player from Failure or guitar player?
Well, they switch back and forth.
That was a guitar
It's
player.
the other guy. The guy who's not Ken Andrews.
Tubby McGee and the guys who aren't Ken.
Yeah, he's Greg Edwards is playing in he played in a Perfect Circle for a long time, and then he's playing in Pussifer as well.
Okay.
And of course, Failure's been back together for a while. So this is whatever his three, and this was also I was looking earlier, produced by T-Bone Burnett.
Whoa.
So pretty legit.
Yeah.
So pretty cool artwork.
So
here.
when did this come out?
This came out in, I think it said 2006 maybe or something like that. A lot of this stuff would have been from around that time there.
T-Bone Burnett has done 98% of all HBO song intros,
he does all that.
By the way, every fucking.
Oh, this is recorded at sorry, I'm trying to read it here. I can't read this goddamn shitty font I got here. Anyway, all right, let's check it out. This is Autolux.
Good to see that LASIK paying off.
Yeah, dude. Well, they got this. Yeah, I know. The first track is called Turnstile Blues. So, here you go. Let's pass that around. Let's see what Greg Edwards and company were up to after Failure Shit the Bed. Turnstile Blues and go. Okay.
Yep, lo-fi. Here we go.
Yeah.
Love this album cover.
They got a girl on drums too. Pre-Meg White. Goes on like this.
Not a comment on the music, but doesn't this band seem like one of those too cool for school bands? Like, these guys love them, some of them, to be shared.
I like this. This is cool.
Get a little more groove in it.
That bass line.
Yeah.
Pretty crunchy. Pretty crunchy.
Yeah, it is. That almost sounds like some kind of weird synth bass in there or something.
I mean, the production is definitely over the top.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's pretty, I think it said Sound City in there or something.
Yeah, Los Angeles, yeah.
This reminds me of some other fucking band too.
Failure, baby.
No. Reminds me very much of some band that Jason Lee would have been talking about in the late 90s. These guys, nobody knows about these guys.
Yeah.
It was me talking about these guys, though. Like, yeah, it's the other guy from Failure. Like, yeah, you're the rabbit? No, the other guy from Failure.
It's a weird note there.
Yeah. It's like got
like
this weird major thing there.
Major note. It's like one of those bands that you'd be going out, going to check out bands. It'd be like the band at the very end of the night.
Yeah.
And you're kind of hammered.
Yeah.
You're tired.
Yeah.
And these guys are just rocking out, looking at their feet.
Yeah. Big fucking amps just blasting.
Yeah. Not giving a shit what's going on.
That casual, indifferent 90s sway all playing a little bit.
But the funny thing is, it's mid-2000s, right?
Yeah.
I like this part. It's cool.
Yeah, this has got the Failure vibe right here in this section.
reminds me a little bit of a couple of the tunes from that Louder Milk band.
Oh, yeah?
Actually, is something.
What band?
It's this random band called Louder Milk that we like stumbled upon
Louder Milk,
somehow. I think it was on one of those channel 928s on Charter type thing. Album rules for the record. Louder Milk's just.
Yeah, it's got some drone to it.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe if I was really high, I'd be a little more into it.
One with the Radiohead.
I was gonna say it's got some Radiohead shit going on or whatever too. It's definitely some LA noise rock.
Yeah.
All right, Greg Edwards, I get it. You got a delay pedal. I get it.
I'm coming in with a firm stance, goddamn. I dig it. I fucking love it.
All right.
A little surprised to hear the hatred coming
I'm
out
not
of you.
hating.
over
I'm
there.
not hating. I got mixed.
It is what it is, but it very
much.
much feels nostalgic and of a time and brings you back to some late 90s. I love
I'm kind
it.
of indifferent on this. I don't know if I would have to hear more.
You guys want to play one more song, which we've never done yet, but it's the last one. It's the last record, the last one.
Bold precedent.
We're gonna hear one more.
Pretty bold.
Okay.
In out of respect for Greg Edwards from Failure, which I love Failure to no end. He's probably one of those guys where like he has that like awesome creative shit he can bring in, but he needs a guy like Ken Andrews to be like, no, let's make it a song though.
Let's rein it in a little bit.
Let's rein it in a little bit. All right, we're gonna go for it. Track 2 is called Angry Candy by Autolux. Give me a second chance here, Greg. You son of a bitch.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised by the hatred. I gotta be honest. I feel like it's a pretty nice blend of noise shit.
I feel like I didn't love it back in the day either.
I liked it.
It's probably the drums.
Trying too hard to be Radiohead here.
Yeah.
Now the question is, do we have the right of refusal to change the opinion after the second song, or are we locked in?
Oh yeah, no. Getting that 2 song.
Ooh.
I got some distortions.
That dude need to rein it in a little bit more, I think.
Yeah.
Wow, what's going on?
Yeah. We get it. You got a fuzz pedal. We get it. He's just going through every pedal on his board for each
just
song.
one after the next one.
I haven't listened to this album in a long time. This might be a dreadful call. Is there a little Phantom Planet in there? I haven't listened to Phantom Planet in so long.
That's poppier.
Quick side note. I had this first car ever, the Pontiac Sunbird, 1991.
Oh my god, I had a Sunbird.
Bro,
1992.
car ever, right? Oh man.
Nice.
4
Greatest
cylinders,
car ever.
Fury, no less than 2-liter engine. Incredible. But I had a 10-disc changer in the back, and it died right before I sold the car. One of the albums I can never retrieve. That's my Phantom Planet.
That thing apart,
Phantom Planet album, baby.
Smash that fucker, dude. Get it out.
Yeah. Too much respect for the bird to be doing that, bro. This car was an icon. The car was an icon.
Some guy who got it fixed is just like, this guy's record collection rules.
Schwarzer on the kid. This kid's got tremendous taste. Tremendous taste.
Queensrÿche, Phantom Planet, Tool to...
Now, in fairness, had it been my crime in there, that fucker, I would have taken a ball for that bitch and got that thing out.
I can't hang with this.
We're going all the way through the track though, baby. You gotta sit in there.
In for a penny, in for a pound at this point.
There might have been some other bands in this segment that would have benefited more from a second play than this band, which turns out it's the exact same thing. We get it. You got a jazz bass with a fuzz pedal. I get it.
I'm going to allow this little breakdown here, though. I'm going to allow the breakdown.
We get it. You got Meg White on drums. I get it.
Yeah.
She's no Meg White, in fairness.
At least she's keeping time.
Worst drummer for a pretty big band ever? Meg White?
It's gotta be, dude. She's terrible.
Top 3 for sure.
It fit what they were doing, I think.
I guess. I was never a big fan of that either. I like Jack White as a person more than I like his
very
music.
Nice guy, very cool guy.
I've got an undying hatred
I'm
of
not
the
a
White
huge fan of
Stripes.
that either.
He saved that venue in Detroit, which I thought was very cool.
Very
the
cool.
Masonic.
Right.
They put
Temple.
like
Masonic
$10 million into it or something.
Yeah.
Maybe
The
more
greatest
saving venues than playing them would be.
Stick to saving them, let somebody else play them.
Just a thought.
I think he's touring with Autolux next year or something.
Is he?
No, this is Autolux. Bringing them out on the road. Meg White's drumming for both. I think it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge.
It's going to be a dueling Meg White and this chick.
The sea people are opening up at him.
Mediocre fills as far as the eye can see. It's going to be incredible.
All right, God damn it. Let's wrap this up. Jesus Christ. Should have stuck to the one track rule. That's why I had the rule. All right, Angry Candy. Yeah, that's an unequivocal no for me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Greg Edwards. I'm sorry, man. I love you. I love you being a sideman in all of my favorite bands. I'm sure he's listening to this right now with a single tear coming down.
Side man to no man, by the way. Let's clean that up.
Greg Edwards does rule. I'm a big fan. Don't get me wrong, man. You know,
I don't hate the second song as much as you two. It wore on me to be sure. I was less enthused by song too. But
to me, it's that very pretentious, like, try to sound bad to be cool kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know. I don't hang with that.
Too cool for school.
Yeah. It's
By
like purposely try to sound bad to be good. I don't know.
You'd just be like track 3. Like you're saying, like if you saw this band like live, it'd be like by their 4th song, you'd just be like, fucking wrap it up.
Yeah, like wrap it up. I gotta go.
It's a whole lot of that band ripping on their friends for their favorite show or movie, and it's like, no, bro, that's not. Underground. It's too mainstream for me.
All right, well that was it. So that's a solid no on the Autolux. Let me see here. I think I got the collection of what's going to stay in the collection, though. If we want to just quickly, just kind of run them back real quick, because this is the end of the segment here.
Stay in the collection.
These are the ones that made the cut.
Oh,
there's some really.
You sure you want me to hear about these?
Well, I'm not going to play them or nothing,
Okay.
but I just kind of want to go through them just for our own thing, because they were a lot of hilarious. I remember this shit, the Jewish or whatever from last week, but it's still unverified. There's some.
I can neither confirm nor deny the band name here.
The guy that gave me this back in the day was a guy from Israel. I worked with all these Israeli dudes, and he knew I was into music, and it's this crazy Jewish metal band, and he told me, and I'm positive about this, he told me the name of the band is The Jewish. I cannot confirm
that was
this.
my buddy Anti-Semitic Pete.
No, and it was good. It ended up actually kicking ass.
The Jewish fucking ruled, dude.
I thought it was going to be terrible when I played it again. So that was cool.
Possibly the number one contender in the whole stack.
It actually kind of ruled.
Dominated. Dude.
This was some weird ambient shit called Sad World, which we were really ripping on at the time.
Not Mad World.
Sad World, yep. Which also has this weird Middle Eastern vibe to it, if you remember, in the artwork and shit. But
quick side note on Mad World, to nerd out here for a second. I remember the game Gears of War. When this game came out, they had the Mad World for the
the Tears for Fear
Tears for Fear version?
Or the
REM
The
version.
remake.
Oh, REM did it.
REM?
Or wait,
no.
What's the song I'm thinking? Not Sad World.
Yeah, no.
Mad World was Tears for Fears, and then what's his name made it big.
They did it.
Popular.
Yeah, they did it on the Donnie Darko soundtrack.
Yes.
Or whatever.
What was the artist though?
I can't remember.
He changed it up and it made it better.
It was like a ballad.
Yes.
Like it really. I think you're making stuff up over there. REM.
But
and shit,
that song was on a game?
Feel free to move it along.
I think he's full of shit.
Or this is my most epic call ever. Probably the latter.
I can see that being like some sort of intro to a game or something. We had... Maybe these are the ones that didn't make the collection.
Oh, no.
We had the Scott Reeder record. Did that make the collection? He's the guy from Caius. You remember Caius?
Caius, I do, yes.
Yeah, he was like the bassist, I think, in Caius or whatever. So it was,
this was after the fact?
So this is like what he went and did, kind of the same thing as when other dude went and did Queens of the Stone Age and all that, or whatever. Right. So it was also, I think that was actually kind of terrible. Time in Malta. You remember that one? I've lost him over here. You know, he's down some goddamn Mad World thing here. I'm
down in the REM rabbit hole. By the way, there are all sorts of questions on here of, did REM remake Mad World?
The Tears for Fears song?
I could see that. I could see REM doing that.
They could do that.
The answer is
why?
No.
They definitely did it. It was not in a game.
Michael Anders, if that sounds familiar, for the remake.
Yeah. Maybe that's the guy who's
in any
it.
event.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going here.
Code 7. That was an early one. Remember, these were like a Coheed and Cambria type guys.
Oh, yeah.
They're on that same label.
Code 7 ruled, as I remember.
It was pretty good. It was very much that same kind of thing.
Same style. Yep.
Big Coheed fan. Dovetail Joint. You know Dovetail Joint?
Of course.
Yeah. So that EP made the cut.
Oh, that's the band?
Yeah.
That was part of the throwout?
Yeah.
They made the cut?
They did make the cut. You know the band, right?
I do know the band,
okay.
yes.
I thought we were talking woodworking.
I played with them and shit.
I would never play with they're not still doing that thing.
I have no idea. I would doubt it. But I would bet you at some point the Verve Pipe back in the day probably played with Dovetail Joint or something here in town.
That's definitely a 90s band.
Yeah, for sure. They were, I think we were looking at it, they were out of maybe Chicago or something, but I think I saw them here in GR a couple times. It might even been where I got this or something. They were doing those things they used to do downtown.
Like the showcases?
Yeah.
No longer playing music, but ironically enough, making top-notch cabinets.
They're actually literally making
their woodworking skills are just off the charts.
Making chairs now. It's just fucking really good.
Pretty impressive. Yeah.
This one, Proud and Tall, remember, was some sort of sleeper. These guys fucking ruled.
Not one bit.
Yeah, well, it kicked ass.
I remember the name, not what it was.
Yep. There's some kind of like, I don't know. It's Darker Jimmy Eat World or something.
I remember some kind of.
Yeah. The Power of Beef, remember? This is a
interesting.
It's the name of the band's Pygmy Love Circus. This is a Danny Carey from Tool's side project.
I could picture that.
Yeah,
yes.
and it's just like him and a bunch of guys like fucking making this
like
hilarious
Mr. Bungle kind of stuff.
Sorta, yeah. It's more like a little more meathead metal or something. But yeah, it's very funny. Like they're kind of like biker dudes, looking, you know.
It's like a hilarious Clutch kind of.
Yeah, it kind of ruled though. Remy Zero.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Did you know Remy Zero?
I do. Yeah. I had that CD.
Okay, so this was like some promo single that I somehow
ended up
single. With. Yeah. And I guess this song is
I was really into them.
Yeah, it kicked ass.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this was way different. This is another one where you're like, we didn't know what this was going to be.
Everyone back in the day, that was what we'd play at the music store was Remy Zero.
Nice. Okay, good to know.
Kent and all those guys.
Yeah.
And
so Remy Zero fucking making the collection. And 7-Story Mountain, I think this is from the very first thing too.
Oh yeah.
And I don't actually remember what exactly that was, but apparently it made the collection. So. Anyway,
so now
we made a significant impression on us.
So now you have the collection. What do you do with the collection?
Just literally put it back on the shelf.
Never play it again.
Yep.
And then like 10 years from now, redo the show.
Redo this thing again.
Like, this song?
Didn't we listen to this at one time?
I feel like there's a good chance when material runs dry, which is more often than I'd like to admit. Maybe we run these back and do an ultimate Tournament of Champions style. I might have to go through the second track of each.
I know.
We're kind of innovators.
The second track might have been a bad decision based on they're typically putting their best song first on that. So Autolux, and then I got all the shit that didn't make it is out in the garage, getting thrown in the old bin there.
Yeah,
Sorry guys, but it's got to go. I was thinking actually like trying to find there's got to be like somewhere selling CDs, like a used CD store in Granville.
Yes,
there's
record shop.
Yeah,
Or,
something. Yeah,
is
it's
it? Yeah, the
something.
record shop. Yeah.
Yeah,
Greenlight Music in Kalamazoo, baby.
there you go. So
You can also give them like, because we gave a bunch of like I had a whole bunch of CDs.
Yeah.
We don't listen. No one listens to CDs anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even have a player.
yeah,
We gave them a bunch to Goodwill.
Yeah.
Like just like no one was there. We just dumped the box at the back.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen to
Yeah.
these. Yeah,
Is it lame that I still have not one but multiple CD
No,
players
it's the
floating
best.
around?
Oh,
the
you
best.
still have a
Yeah.
CD player.
Oh, every CD
I
I've
still have
ever
one in
owned is
my van, but I don't think I've ever used
I
it.
still have one in the minivan.
Yes. Hey, minivans are awesome, dude.
Fuck yeah.
I've said this many times. There was no more thrilling piece of information I've ever gotten in my life than when my last car that I bought from 2017 still had a CD player. I was like,
Ah.
Yeah, it's
It's a down
dying breed.
collection.
Like this is like we couldn't even do this if I wasn't rocking this old ass iMac, you know, that has the
It actually
CD
has a player.
in it, you know, like that's crazy. That's,
we'd have to listen to
that's the only
good
CD
music
player I
if we
got.
didn't have a CD player. In it.
I'd have to be like
God, yeah.
scrambling to find it on iTunes, which none of this would
Right.
be, you know. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
man.
but yeah, I was thinking, yeah, whatever the fuck that CD store is there in Granville, because I work
I think it's
right
the
there.
record shop.
Yeah, it's something just like that,
Yeah.
and that place is cool as hell.
It's very cool. They moved like down the street
Oh, did they?
like a couple of years ago, I
Oh, okay.
believe. So they're like more, I think, would be more east from where they were.
Okay. They had like a little venue and shit in there. There was like a
Yeah.
little stage. And
Yep.
like, there's like a lot of rooms you can like go through. It's kind of
Yeah,
like.
kinda.
Yeah. The place I'm thinking of anyway. And they used to sell my CDs. They were cool about like selling local
Yes, we would
CDs.
like Rocket King would.
Yeah.
That was one of the stops. You
Yep.
would bring your stuff there, and
Yeah.
it was there, and Eris's record shop,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and what's the other one? There's another one that's still around. I think
There was a
Dodds,
Dodds. is a thing,
Reverend
downtown.
Charles.
Yeah.
owns that still,
Uh-huh.
which I haven't heard from him in a while.
I think
but
that's still.
I
around.
think
don't
it's
know.
still there. Yeah.
I don't know. I've been not in that game for a
But yeah,
long
you make
time.
the rounds.
Yep.
Back in the day when you had a CD,
Yep.
you'd sell them all like
Yep.
on consignment locally.
Yep.
All the music stores would take
Yep.
them, and then
I
you
had
go to the record
posters
stores.
with it, you
Yes.
know, like hang the poster.
That band, that prog rock band that Light in Between, we had a whole display, custom made display,
Nice.
that we put all over the place. And
Yeah.
just a waste of money.
Yeah.
One of the
Totally
things I miss most in life, and modern convenience is tremendous almost all the time, but you lose a little bit on some things. And going to the record store
Yeah, that was
slash
yeah.
Blockbuster back in the day,
Yes.
Yeah.
I fucking
Buying
loved it.
random
Maybe it's
shit.
because I'm a loser and have very
No,
few
I mean,
I never
ways to
loved that
spend my
shit.
time. But man,
I mean, you are a loser,
stumbled
but
around through the
besides
video
that, you're
store
correct.
and the CD
Well, here's the thing: is
it's
with
fucking great.
back in the day when you'd have to go. Back in the day, it's like, geez, how long ago was that? 10 years ago. When you had to go to Blockbuster and you had your weekend off, and you're with your gal or whatever, and you had to make a commitment.
Yeah. So yeah.
What are you going to spend
Yeah.
your money on that you're going to rent for the weekend?
Yep.
And I mean, I can't even think like nowadays. I just can't even like. I look at Netflix and I see all, or Amazon and see all the stuff that you can just look at,
Dude,
watch.
I endlessly
And I'm
scroll. I
just
think we
like-
all sit there scrolling it more than we're watching.
I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna watch Green Acres. Just some old like retro TV
Like,
show.
oh, I'm watching Dark for the
Yeah.
fifth time.
Yeah, stuff that I've already seen.
But do you remember when you found something, you saw the cover of the album,
That's all you-
or the
that's all you had to
fucking
look
DVD
at.
back in the
That's
day,
how I
and
bought
you
all
read
this
the
shit.
backs,
Yeah.
God damn it, and then you hit one that rules, and it's like, this is
Yeah.
the greatest
Yeah,
movie
man.
I've ever fucking seen.
When I was a
Nobody's
kid,
ever
and
heard of
it was records and cassettes. You know, it was
yeah.
like all you had to go with was it was a band that was new. All you had was what the record looked like, the cassette
yeah,
looked like,
yeah,
the
yeah,
cover
dude.
looked like.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, the band I was in, the bass player, his girlfriend at the time worked at whatever in the mall, like the record store was.
Believe in
Yeah.
music, or
Like
not
Believe-
in music.
whatever it was. It was one of those.
Or one of
Yeah.
those.
Whatever those were back. This is Illinois, and so they would get the promo copies of everything.
Yeah.
And a funny story with Guns N' Roses. So that Guns N' Roses cassette came out in 86, 87.
Yeah. Appetite.
Appetite.
Yeah.
And I got a promo. I still have it somewhere.
Yeah. With the stamp.
Yeah. So my promo was the little card record.
Oh, okay.
You know how they used to put those in magazines?
Yeah.
But his girlfriend used to get these free promo for all the new bands that came out. And say, hey, you got to check this band out. And it was a promo, a 45 record on a card, you know, put on a record, and it was like all the guys talking about how they're so excited about this new record. And they kind of, in the background, you kind of hear like Welcome to the Jungle and stuff. They just put it out. It wasn't out yet.
Right.
And then like a month or two later, she gave us the cassette.
Right.
Blown away. And it wasn't even popular. This was 86, 87.
Yeah.
And then my buddies, we were in a band already. We were trying to learn the songs. We got to play the songs.
Yeah.
And they're playing this crappy theater, which I don't know what's still there in Illinois, a small little theater called Coronado Theater in Rockford, Illinois, 1987. We got tickets. We go in there, and they were on fire. Just blew it away.
Yeah.
So me and my buddies decided we're going to go see if we can find where they're staying, you know?
He has groupies?
Yeah. So we're going to see if we're going to find where they're staying. So we drove to all the hotels, and sure enough, we see a van with a trailer. Yeah. And they're hanging out in back by the swimming pool.
There's a guy in a top hat.
Yeah. It was before that whole thing, before the top hat. So, and those guys were all in the back, and we jumped the fence, got back there, and we're hanging out with them.
Nice.
So it was Slash, the bass player Duff.
It sounds like concerning behavior.
Yes. We're just little kids, like 15 years old, 14, 15 years old. And we're going back there trying to hang out with those guys. And they're like partying, wasted. And they're talking to us. I didn't see Axel. I didn't see Izzy. The other guys are all hanging out by the pool. So we get kicked out.
Doing rails off of
who knows? We get kicked out eventually.
Rules.
So years and years later, so we get kicked out, forget about it. The show was amazing. We were blown away by it. We start learning all their songs. And then about 6 months later, I go to my bass player's house and we're going to rehearsal or whatever. And he's like, dude, Chet, look at this. What's on MTV? And it was Welcome to Jungle. I'm like, that's those guys. No way. And we're just like, whoa, what? Those guys are huge. And then they got bigger and bigger. And then years and years later, when I moved to Michigan, I was working at Rip Music Store. And the first year I worked there in 96, 97, Paul, the owner, wanted me to go to the NAMM show in LA, in Anaheim. And I'm like, sure, I'll go. I'd love to go. So I'd go out there, and my first time out there, and I'm considered a buyer because I'm with the store, right?
Okay,
so you get to go all these after parties, and you're there before the show opens to the public, right? So you get to meet all the artists. And,
right.
So Gibson had Slash as their artist. So he was there talking to people. So I was kind of waiting in line. I went up to him and I did the typical hey man, I don't know if you remember, but back in 87 we tried. He was like, what?
Fuck off.
Yeah, whatever. What do you want me to sign? That kind of stuff. And then the following year I went back. Sure enough, and he was at the Gibson thing again, doing the Gibson thing. And I went up. This was before the public opened up, so it was kind of open just to a small group of people. And I went up. I'm like, Slash, you remember? It's like, oh, I remember you now. Yeah, because you remember the story of the time before. But it's so funny, man.
Slash, you want to grab a beer, man?
No, thanks. No, thanks.
All right, cool. It's good seeing you again.
But,
Duff, I'm in.
But it just goes back then. Music, discovering music was such a personal thing,
man,
and then
you had to
telling your friends, hey, look what I got.
Yeah.
And,
it was so much more of a treasure hunt because it was so much less available, right?
Yeah.
Now
it was part of your identity too. You had to this is what I chose to spend my money on.
Yep. I decided to wear this T-shirt at school.
Yeah.
I miss those days because of that. Because it was it was like an experience to play a record or a cassette and hear it for the first time, and no one else that you knew, all your buddies that you knew, they haven't heard it, and you wanted to show them, check this out. That feeling, you'll never have that now because it's just everything's online.
That was my whole thing. That's all I did was turn these assholes on to every goddamn band in the world. Speaking of T-shirts and shit, I was telling him I found my old Verve Pipe T-shirt.
Yeah, which one?
It's like an olive green, and
I
it's
suffered a head
purple,
injury,
and it just says, it doesn't have anything. It just says the Verve Pipe on it.
Oh, okay.
And I couldn't fucking find that. I didn't know where it was there, but I found it recently, and I sent a picture of it to AJ.
Oh,
and he was
yeah.
like, "Yeah, that's a rarity for sure."
Yeah. So like we're now doing these retro ones that are like look like old school, but they're really new.
Yeah,
and
sure. But it was the hilarious part about all those old concert T-shirts from way back when I was a kid. They are the worst T-shirts ever. They're the
worst.
Boxy, giant sleeves.
The old Gildan brand or whatever.
Yeah,
Gildan.
Yeah,
the Gildan brand. And then like they'd have that really thick print.
Yeah,
I remember I had like when I was going to school, I had an Ozzy. I think it was like was it Bark at the Moon? Was that what it was called? I had that T-shirt.
Yeah.
Bark at the Moon, and it was that thick. I mean, it looked awesome because I had the cover of that record, but it was that thick like paint or whatever was on there.
Silk screen shit.
Silk screen, and it was it was very uncomfortable and hot.
And you're rocking it anyway.
Totally.
Yeah. Do you know the band The Vandals? They're a punk rock band.
I've heard of the band. I'm not familiar though.
So it's probably most famous is Josh Freese, who's a huge. He's like the drummer of the Foo Fighters now. That's where he started.
Okay.
But anyway, I saw them once and bought a T-shirt, and the T-shirt has a dog taking a shit on it. But the shit was like this like rubberized foam that like stuck off of the T-shirt. Like it was like 3D.
Oh no way!
I was like, this is the best.
Craftsmanship was just off the charts.
I was like 14, you know, like I would buy a T-shirt, but back in the day it was like just like a 20 for a T-shirt or something.
Sure.
So I was like trying to collect a T-shirt at every concert, you know. But I always thought that one was just so goddamn funny. Like I wasn't even really into that band, you know. But
just the shirt.
Just the shirt was so good. There were some real treasures in there. I'm gonna post them up. There's an epic Green Day T-shirt. A No Doubt T-shirt I found in there, a Bush T-shirt, the Verve Pipe T-shirt, which if the Verve Pipe T-shirt fit a little better, that one's actually a good shirt. Like I like the color, I'd wear it, but it's so bad, dude. It's so boxy and shit. Just like, I can't do it. So yeah. Anyway, there was some other treasures in there. I can't even remember. But, 19 Wheels. You remember 19 Wheels?
Of course.
Yeah. What are those guys up to? Do you have any idea?
I don't think they're, what was Louis Cantu? Was he in that?
I'm not sure any of their names or anything. I didn't.
So no. But I know the guys that were in that. They're not together anymore.
No, I'm sure not. But they were kind of that same era.
When I first moved out here, that was the band that was kind of like popular.
They played all the time, and they were doing this cool thing with their T-shirts where they like went and bought like old bowling T-shirts and mechanics T-shirts and shit, and then just silk screened on the back. So every shirt was like different.
Right. So
mine's like this like mechanic T-shirt, and it has a patch on it, and it's like Chief, I think, or something like that. Like this fucking rules. So but I was thinking about looking those guys up because like the bands like that, and like I want to talk to them and what the fuck they doing, bring them on the podcast, and
I'm trying to think. I know who the guys are, and I'm trying to think who they are. Rodney
I couldn't tell you
Johnson?
any of their names or nothing, but
oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, that kind of shit. I remember seeing them open for like Sponge out here one time.
We play with those guys all the time.
Yeah, well, they played last time I saw the Verve Pipe. Probably 3-4 years ago or something now.
Oh, that was at in Lansing?
No, it was at 20 Monroe. Here.
Oh yeah, the last time we played 20 Monroe.
Yeah,
which we have another one. We're finally playing.
That's what I was gonna bring up. That's a good segue there.
February 10th.
Yeah, coming right up here. I saw you guys playing. I'm gonna try to make that. What is it? The 10th?
February 10th, Saturday.
Nice.
I think isn't that like close to Valentine's or something like that?
Yeah, Valentine's is usually the
14th. Yeah, so the week before. So yeah, that's going to be. From what I understand, it's a sit-down show, which I don't get.
Okay.
But
I will be
doesn't matter
standing up and throwing a chair.
Yeah, I expect it.
When the riot starts, you know it was me. You know.
So we're
if you
doing
guys gonna
a
play
show.
Drive You Mild, I'm throwing a chair, bro.
I think we might be doing that one. I know we're definitely doing a mix of different stuff.
Yeah.
We're trying to make it. We have a few rehearsals coming up in my place, but we're trying to figure out some unique stuff that we could do for this, because it's like we were the first band to play there when they first opened.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
And then we played there consecutively 3 years in a row.
Okay.
But then when Listening Room opened up downtown, I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's part of the. Oh my gosh, it's an awesome place to see bands. It's a small venue. I think it seats 250, 300.
Yeah.
I may be off on that.
Right.
but it's in the Celebration Grand Theater. It's part of that.
Okay.
But it's upstairs on the second floor.
Wow,
and
okay.
it's literally a listening room. Now they call it something different because I think they got sued because of the name. But so we started doing that, and you can't do, the local stuff back and forth like that. So we were focusing on doing more of a listening room where we change it up and do more acoustic kind of things. And one year that even when Joe was in the band, we would have segments where we'd each individually do our own solo song by ourselves.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was really a cool thing.
Yeah.
And then they started doing the outdoor listening lawn is what they call it.
So that I'm familiar with.
It's the same place. So it's there.
Yeah. And it's at the movie theater. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So when they do that, that's outside. Yes. Inside, it's on the second floor.
Okay.
So we were doing that the last few years, a listening lawn.
Yeah.
Which we did this last summer. And then this year we were like, okay, we got to change it up. We're going to do 20 Monroe again.
Yeah.
And that's usually like a big deal, for us. And it's always a blast to play that place. It's fun.
Yeah, that show ruled last time, and I'm a big Sponge fan too.
Yeah. Oh, those guys are like over the top. Yeah.
I mean, I was seeing those guys again, like way back. I mean, the classic lineup of that band and everything too. And
so the funny thing about those guys is, remember, so right before. It's actually kind of more a sad story, but before the lockdown with COVID and everything, right? So Spun, Howard was doing having all these 90s bands come on a show and perform live. Yeah. Sponge got on the show and did their song and got interviewed and everything, and then we were booked to play. So what was it? In February, we were playing, I think, in Detroit somewhere. And we were getting ready for the spring. We're going to do Daryl's house, all the normal stuff we play out east, and we're making our way to New York.
You guys did Daryl's house?
We used to do it every year. Yeah, I think we might be doing it again this year. And we're going to be on Howard, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Howard, and it was part of the whole schedule. And then February came around. I was like, oh, everything's shut down. Like, what's going on? So we went from normally by the beginning of the year, we know what the spring tour is going to look like. It's some of the summer maybe.
Yeah.
And it was like 40 shows already booked for spring and early summer. And that whole year we played 5 shows.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That was a lot of bands.
And then I haven't heard anything more. How many years ago? I haven't heard anything more about the Howard thing.
Yeah,
so
that's probably,
we got to get that back
sucks,
on there.
man.
I know,
that
it sucks, dude. Because Brian got on there was the after. I think he got screwed on this too because Hillary Clinton was on. I don't remember. It was a great interview on Howard.
I don't catch Howard usually, but
anyway, it was a great interview with her.
Right, I'm sure.
And she was talking about how she lost and everything. And how he was like, if you were on the show, you probably would have got more votes. It was a great interview. But Brian was on the after, they have an after interview after the show.
Right.
And he was on it, but I think he got overshadowed by the Hillary Clinton thing. But from that, it was like, okay, well, we're doing this whole 90s retro thing. Yeah. And we want to have bands come and play live.
Right.
And that kind of got the ball rolling. We were all booked to do it. And that happened.
That sucks, man. That'd have been a bucket lister. Wow.
Yes,
dude.
totally.
Yeah, to get to play on that show.
So maybe that's coming up. But we have 20 Monroe, and then we have the big Creed tours coming up.
Oh, I didn't know about that either. Wow.
Come on. It's all over the news.
Man, I don't watch the news. The only news I get is here on this show.
So Creed is back.
I know that. I know that. I didn't know that you guys.
So how it started was middle of last summer. We got a notice from our management that, hey, Creed is putting a tour together. It's going to be a cruise, a 90s cruise.
Okay, yeah. Those are super popular.
Yes, and we, it's been talk about doing these cruises for years, ever since I've been in the band, since 2009 or 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
And about doing these 90s cruises, and we were going to be the backup band for Mark McGrath.
Okay.
And then everything just falls through, you know. So I was like, well, am I getting paid to play with Mark McGrath? Learn his songs and all that stuff. So anyway, it all fell through. We didn't end up doing it. So then again, it was like summer came along and we were talking, and we heard that, hey, Creed is getting back together, which is a what?
Yeah.
Creed. And there's going to be this cruise. Can we all do it? We're looking at spring 2024. I'm like, well, yeah, sure.
Hell yeah.
Even though none of us, I don't think have ever been on a cruise. I have never been on a cruise, so I'm kind of worried.
I've been on a few. It's not,
yeah. So it's going to be a 90s cruise. So sure enough, we get the notice like, yeah, it's booked. One cruise with all 90s bands. Like, I don't remember. The list is long.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, they're always crazy.
And so there was the pre-announcement. A lot of hype. It was in Rolling Stone. All the bands are playing.
Yeah.
And then the tickets go up for sale. They sold under 24 hours. And I think the tickets were $3,500 a piece.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, a cruise is going to be that anyway.
Yeah.
And like,
so they sold out. So then they're like, well, how do you guys feel about playing another cruise the week after?
Yeah.
How many of these bands can stay the same band? So majority of the same bands are still doing it, including us. So the following week, and they sold that out within 24 hours.
Right.
So now for us, it's like we're making it a whole tour. So we're doing a tour 2 weeks before the week of the cruise.
Right.
In between, there's 4 days. We're doing Key West tour, and then we do another cruise, and then we do a tour to get us way back up to Michigan.
Nice.
So it ends up being like I think 5.5, 6 weeks. Yeah. So, and then we're back out with Creed in like Los Angeles somewhere in August, I believe, doing more shows with those guys.
Oh man!
So it's interesting
is
because
that like a stadium thing then? Because
I don't know.
Because Creed is probably going to be a
they're
stadium
huge,
too.
yeah.
I mean, that's...
I don't know. Maybe it might be a festival. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
But what's funny about that is like that whole turnaround thing. It's like Mark Tremonti.
Yeah.
Like back when I was working at the music store.
Yeah. I love Mark Tremonti.
He like Creed just like fumbled or whatever. Because what's his name just lost it.
I don't love Creed. I love Mark Tremonti though.
And he was starting the band
Alter Bridge. Yeah.
And Rocket King opened up for him.
Oh hell yeah.
At Orbit Room, I believe.
Sure.
And we were in. I would go to the NAMM show with the music store, and all of a sudden he's got the PRS model. This is years ago. This is years ago. His first model.
Right.
And there was that meet and greet, and I'm like, I was like, dude, how? I was talking to him like, how did you get this? And he was like, well, I got to give it up to my manager sitting over there. You know, he's the one that made it. I'm like, come on,
Creed sold a billion records.
That's the thing.
I mean,
you don't realize how big Creed was.
I mean, that first record's like 6 times
That's
platinum
all you
or
would
some
hear
ridiculous,
on the radio.
you know, like it's absurd.
Yeah.
And, you know, looking back on it, I realized that, like, man, those guys are huge. No wonder he got his own guitar.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I mean, he's fucking good.
And he's a great guitar player. Have you heard,
I've
nice
been
guy
preaching his solo band,
the
Tremonti.
Frank Sinatra stuff?
No, I knew about that. I haven't listened to it.
That's amazing,
yes,
dude.
Which is fucking awesome that he's doing that. But no, it's Tremonti, and it's kind of like his metal band, you could say. He describes
different
it as,
than Alter Bridge?
Yes.
Because that's kind of metal.
He describes it as the more metal riffs that he can't play in Creed or Alter Bridge. It's like his thrash metal fix.
Oh,
right?
no, okay.
And he's the singer.
Oh, okay.
And dude is like the better singer than all those guys. And
dude, Miles Kennedy is like
he's the best. Don't get me wrong.
No.
He's incredible. But what I'm saying is like, I'm like, fucking A, Mark Tremonti is like as good a singer or whatever. I'm like, why isn't this guy just singing all the fucking time? You know, like, but anyway, those Tremonti solo records, definitely check them out because they fucking rule.
Okay.
They rule.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I learned about a lot of shit in Guitar World. Big Guitar World fan. And
is that still around?
I don't know because I actually lost my subscription. I almost said prescription.
They actually make hard copies still?
There's a bunch in the bathroom over there.
No, they are current?
Current-esque.
Okay.
About a year old or so.
Okay.
This guy's knowledge on 2008 is unprecedented.
And not to get super off topic here, but I had a collection of Guitar World that went way back, and I sold it. I sold my magazines for like $600.
Wow.
Like
that's how much they're worth?
Dude, and then I had to like ship them, and it cost like all that to ship them, you know, whatever. But yeah, anyway, I was like, these things gotta fucking go. But I was a subscriber to that shit back in like 96. I remember the first issue had Jerry Cantrell on the cover, and it had fucking an Alice in Chains song, and it had fucking White Zombie transcribed and Smashing Pumpkins song transcribed. I was in the 6th grade with my Strat, doing
that's
the thing.
That's a huge first mag.
It ruled,
dude.
It ruled. I brought it to 6th grade camp.
That's huge.
And people were like, "What is this?" I'm like, "I play the guitar, man." So anyway, that's fucking awesome for you guys that you're doing those fucking gigs.
So we've got a bunch coming up to a bunch of shows, like one-offs here and there. But A lot of playing.
You're gonna
this
become
spring.
a cruise band, like cruise comedians. You know about that? It's a whole thing. The cruise circuit with comedians,
Oh,
and
no.
they send them from boat to boat in the middle of the night on a different boat.
They got to be in the middle of the night.
It's so like, and it's probably not, but it's funnier to think that it is.
That's
It's
so
like
funny.
candles.
You're just gonna see Scott Stapp on an inflatable
Yeah.
at 3 in the morning.
2 in
What
the morning,
fuck?
you know,
Scott
like,
Stapp?
That's hilarious.
the CIA and shit. Yeah. Anyway, no, that's dope. I've been on a few cruises. You'll have a good time. After your second or third one, I'm like, all right,
I'm a little too
over the
low to
cruise
get
thing.
up on this next ship.
Yeah.
I gotta imagine playing on a cruise ship. It's probably pretty dope, though. Everybody's gonna be in a good mood.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's gonna be there to hear the show.
From what I
having a
understand,
blast.
because
It's
there's
gonna be jokes.
there's so many bands that are playing. It's like you have to kind of shop your show to get people to come.
Oh damn! I figure everybody's kind of because it's. I mean, it's going to be right in the middle of the ship, and so like you
well,
can't
there's different.
get away
There's
from
I
it.
assume there's different rooms.
Oh, really?
Because there is a
Okay.
lot of bands. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Well,
Again, I don't know.
The main thing I've seen this because I looked at going on a couple like even like we were just talking about Coheed. They did their own cruise. There was like an emo one that was like Sunny Day Real Estate, and a bunch of these guys were on. There's like a Swedish metal one. I'm a big fan of like Opeth and some of these Swedish kind of metal bands and shit. I was kind of looking at that one. So I'm a little bit familiar of how they work. And I mean, I've been on cruise ships, so it's going to be a big stage right in the middle of the ship where the pool and shit is.
Okay, so it's one stage.
But like you're saying, you could be right because there's venues for sure, like nightclubs and stuff.
Yeah.
So there might be like based on what you're saying, you're probably right where it's kind of festival style where it's going to be the main stage. Just think about it probably like a festival. You're going to have your main stage and then your second and third stage or whatever.
So well, I do know that we were told, and I don't know if it's something's changed, but that we're playing 3 or 4 shows and they would like each show to be different.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Like I only got so many versions of the Freshman guys.
Yeah, like we could do like a couple versions because we did. We did an acoustic version of Villains a few years ago.
I caught that.
And we put on a record and stuff like that. That went really well. So we could take a lot of those Villain songs and change them up, and other songs we can change up and do whatever.
Yeah.
But I hope they're not thinking that we're going to do the kids songs.
I wouldn't think
family
so.
record.
No, you should though. Just do just that.
We still get people asking, "Can you guys play Serial?"
Yeah.
Like what? When I first joined the band, my first gig was we were playing Hawaii. And again, I'm friends with AJ, and I didn't know that AJ quit the band. I thought he just couldn't do the gig. So, kind of going back a little bit, when I was working in the music store, AJ, they got dropped by RCA, Verve Pipe, and AJ started working in the music store. So I was training AJ, to do all this stuff and whatever, working the guitar department because I was managing the guitar department, and he was telling me, and all I knew about the Verve Pipe was like the songs I heard on the radio, the couple songs and that. Yeah. I didn't know anything else from other songs. He gave me I think it was the Underneath record or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, here's the last record I did," and but I'm quitting the band. I'm like, why? Because it's like you can complain about anything.
Yeah. He told us the whole story on here.
Sure.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, I should listen to that. Was it my name brought up?
Yes.
He was saying in a good way or
he was
bad?
like,
you don't want to skip past that part.
They got this asshole who can't even play the guitar playing. No, I don't know what that is. I don't know. No,
dude. I love AJ, and me and him were pretty tight back then, and because we have the same kind of attitude, and he was kind of telling me what was going on, and he was having a hard time making ends meet, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I remember. He was, I'm quitting the band. I'm like, oh, okay. And Donnie, that was the only guy in the band I didn't know was Donnie, the drummer. And Donnie would call the store randomly, and whoever picked up, hey, AJ, Donnie's on the phone, because he'd be, hey, this is Donnie Rowe. I'm like, oh, whatever. And I knew he was going to quit the band.
Yeah.
Or he quit the band.
Yeah. And
then Donnie was calling the music store.
He told us that.
And I answered the phone, and hey, this is Donnie Brown's AJ. I need to talk to him right away. I'm like, Donnie, or AJ, Donnie's on the phone. Well, we were all by the phone while AJ's talking to him. AJ's just yelling at him.
Yeah, he said it.
You guys yelling at him on the phone. We're like, oh. And we're like, what's going on? And this is way before I got in the band. So this is when he first quit the band, right? Yeah. 2002 or something, or
I thought it would have been I was gonna say
maybe
it's
a little later, maybe a little later.
Yeah, so.
Because I was in the midst of Rocket King, was on fire, so I was focused on that. But we were all listening to it. I was like, whoa, what's going on? He quit the band.
Yeah.
So he quit the band right there. Like literally slammed the phone down. F you, slammed the phone down. Like, okay. And then they got another guitar player to fill in. And back then they weren't playing a lot. They were playing maybe whenever.
Yep.
A show, a private show, or like some local show would come up. They would play. And they had Dan Matheny was playing guitar for maybe 7-8 years, or quite a long time.
Yeah.
And then he ended up getting kicked out for unknown reasons. I know why, but I can't tell. But he got kicked out, and AJ came in to fill in that spot again for 6 months or so.
We talked about that a little bit too, yeah.
So it was 3 or 6 months, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I knew he was back with it. Again, I was not at the music store at this time. I was focused on like my band and all that stuff, and I knew he was playing with them, and all of a sudden I get a call from Al McAvoy. And Al was working with Rocket King a lot. He was running sound. He did the records, and I was playing with Carissa as well. And he would Carissa Wilson, and Carissa Wilson was singing background vocals for Rocket King too, and she had her own solo band that I was playing with, and he would see me play all these different places, and AJ said he couldn't do the gig. That's what I had thought of. AJ couldn't do the gig.
Yeah.
And Al calls me up and like, hey, I gave your name to Donnie because AJ can't do this gig. It's in Hawaii. I told him that you could definitely do the gig. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I could probably do the gig. I'm like, what's up? He's like, I don't know, he just can't do the gig. Yeah.
That's kind of what AJ told us, that he was telling people that he just couldn't do it. Like he had people coming in to re-record his stuff or something, and was just saying like, "Oh, AJ just doesn't want to do it" or something. He wasn't like,
I don't know. I heard about that. I don't know.
And I'm paraphrasing. You'll have to listen to him tell the story.
So all I know from my end of it, I get a call from Donnie, like right after that, after Al tells me McAvoy, and Donnie's like, "Hey, kid." Yeah, I heard that's again. Donnie's the only guy I did not know out of the whole band. Right. I knew everyone. I knew Brad. I knew Brian, and I knew Brian a long time. And Donnie calls me up, and he's like, "Hey, I hear you might be available. We're playing a show, a USO show, in Hawaii.
That's cool. Yeah,
and it's in 3 weeks. Do you know our catalog?" And I'm like, yeah. And of course, I don't know any of their songs other than like maybe the Freshman and we just throw out 3 chords and Cup of Tea. I think I've heard of Villains. I can learn those. But do you know our catalog? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like whatever. And can you learn 22 songs in 3 or 25 songs in 3 weeks? I'm like, yeah, I can. Of course.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, okay, we don't have any time to rehearse, so here I'll give you a list of the songs, and I'll talk to you about like how the endings are and how we end them and stuff. I'm like, okay, sweet. Yeah. So I take the gig, and like maybe a couple days later, like AJ calls me up. He's like, "Hey man, I heard that Donnie called you about the gig." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, what is going on? Why can't you do this gig?" It's not that I can't do the gig. I quit the band. I'm like, I told those guys to F off. I'm like, "Oh, damn, dude, I didn't know that. Are we cool still? I didn't want to. I didn't want to take your gig." He's like, "Oh no, nothing. It's not between me and you. It's between me and those guys." I'm like, "Oh well." Dude, I did not know any of this. I thought I was just filling in for you because you couldn't do the gig. Right. Anyway, so, I woodshed for, 3 weeks, get the songs down. I had back then I had like the Sharpie. I used to write everything in Sharpie, big chord charts. And I had all the songs listed. I had them in like those clear plastic things. Yeah. And I set them on the stage, like 25 songs in the order that we're going to play them. Right. And we were in Hawaii. We had a few days there, so it was awesome. Nice. Yeah. And played the songs, and I played obviously pretty good because Donnie came up to me, and Brian. I knew Brian, and he was like, "Dude, you did great." Yeah. And then I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks, man." And I didn't know anything more was going to happen from that. Yeah. And then Donnie was like, "Hey, we really like the way you play. You want to keep playing with us?" I'm like, "Sure, yeah, whatever." I didn't know what that meant. And then he was like, going back to the kids record, he's like, hey, we're doing a kids record. Do you wanna play on that? I'm like, sure. And I was like, what is he talking about? Kids record.
It was kind of weird. I remember.
And then so anyway, we get back from Hawaii. The gig was good. It was fun. It was an amazing. The guy from the but I remember from the gig, it was on an Army base. It was USO. And the MC of the event was the guy that was the Allstate commercial guy. The
Pedro Serrano from
Major
League.
He was the president in that TV show.
Big black dude with the low voice and whatever.
Yes. Yeah. What was his name?
I'm thinking Major League.
I don't think that was
Pedro Serrano was his character in that. I don't know
oh yeah.
Anyway, that guy was the MC. Okay, so it was like, what is this? This is amazing. Yeah. So we do this gig and it was great. Turned out great. And Donnie's like, hey, you want to play on this kids record? I'm producing this kids record. I'm like, sure. And I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, and we played a few more shows after that, and then I understand what had happened.
Yeah.
I knew that at that point, AJ left the band, and like they're asking me to be a part of this now, and I'm like, okay, I'll just play it out. I got Rocket King. That's my band, you know.
Right, okay.
And then we started doing that kids record, and it was totally fun to play because it was like, it's not like kids song. I mean, it's about being a kid. It's not about a kid. It's about being a kid as an adult looking at it. So it was fun to play. And then it was like, okay, we got to put a show together.
Yeah.
And then that took off, like that family record took off. #1 on iTunes.
Did another one.
And then we did, which that's a whole different story. That because that took too long to make because Donnie was producing it, and we lost. I think it was Walmart or Target, one of those guys was going to do that, and we waited too long and lost that whole deal. Anyway, but it was fun, and then we had to do the show, and it was like everyone had like little sticks that we had to do. We had characters and we had lines we had to memorize, and you have to entertain these kids. We're playing all over the place, all over the country. Yeah. So we'd play these kid shows during the day, and then play a rock show at night.
Right.
And then at the rock show at night, we'd play a couple of the kids' tunes.
Right.
And sometimes get boos from adults. And some adults, because they got it, they were like, oh, we love that. It was so awesome. Yeah. And still to this day, at like the super fans that are familiar with that kids record, they start yelling out like cereal, play cereal. And we did that for years, and thank God we're not doing that anymore. But so when I was kind of earlier was talking about like making Overboard, you know, Rocket King was on being held by Al because he's focused on doing Overboard. And I had my song on there that I was going to have my song on there too. Yeah. And that was the big thing because now Verve Pipe's coming out with a rock record.
Yeah. And I remember.
I mean, I love that record. That record's great. It has the underneath vibe to it because it's that really polished production. I recorded most of my guitar stuff in my studio, which was fun. Brian recorded a lot of stuff in my studio too, like some vocal stuff. So it was really fun to work on that record. But yeah, that was 2008, 2009, I think, when that was all kind of starting. And, it's been a great ride, you know, and,
for sure.
you know, 15, 16 years later, still doing it.
Man.
How many records under my belt? 8 records now. And I think we've been working on a new record.
That's what I was going to ask. What's the deal? And got some new shit in the works?
Yes. So last...
I saw, were you guys just at like River City over here or something?
Okay, yeah. So that was a charity event thing we were doing.
Okay.
So we did, for that, Brian had a charity that he put together, and it was to raise money for the Indian reserves for food for them. Okay. And I don't know the name of it, sorry. Yeah. And for this charity event, the tickets were like, I think $400 a piece to get into River City. And the experience was that these people get to see us record a record. Okay. And we just did covers. Yeah. So we did a bunch of covers, recorded them live, And then at the end of it, they see that process. At the end of it, they're going to get a vinyl record of it.
Oh,
so
nice.
I think it's still being kind of mixed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where it's at yet. That's Roy about that. But that was fun because we got to play a lot of favorite covers that we've been doing over the years. It's fun to play that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, so that was...
I saw that. I might have even saw that on your social or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we did a whole bunch of promo on that.
Sure.
But no, the new record that we're working with Andy Reid out of Bay City, and he was after. So when I first joined the band, it was John Connors was playing bass.
Okay.
And Doug Corella was still playing keyboards and percussion and stuff like that. So when I first joined the band, those guys were still in it. Dougie ended up leaving. Randy Sly came in and took over the keyboards, which by the way, he was the original keyboard player of the band before they got big and they got kicked out. Anyway, and then he went on to do Bob Harvey and all that stuff. So he was the opening band for Bill Clinton back in the day. But so he joined, and then Andy Reid, which was Donnie's best friend, took over bass.
Okay.
So for 2 or 3 years, and then he ended up quitting, and then that's when Joel came in.
Okay.
And Donnie ended up leaving too, by the way.
Yeah.
So that would have been around the Overboard time, 2014 or 15. And then, anyway, Andy Reid is producing this new record. So we went up north to this Airbnb, or a super fan that has like an Airbnb, like real nice cottage.
Cool.
Up kind of by Ludington up there somewhere. I don't remember, Newaygo maybe. And last winter, we went up there, and we came up with like, hey, let's everyone bring songs, and let's hash these out. And Andy came out and he recorded them. Yeah. As we're kind of working them out and stuff like that, demoing.
Yeah.
Came out with like 16 to 18 songs.
Right. Yeah.
The basic sketch of it.
Yeah.
And then we kind of went from there, and now we're like, I'm not sure where we're at. I know I keep recording guitar tracks for it, and I think there's a bunch of lyrics that need to be written, but Andy would like to have something out by spring. I don't think that's going to happen. It'll probably be fall.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's Andy's trying to keep it more like Villains-ish, more raw and more guitar
it's
rock.
It's funny because AJ
driven.
talks about that record being like raw and stuff too, and I think of that record as being very polished in my mind.
It's polished as like when I think about it, it's polished as like song context.
Yeah.
Like the parts are nailed. Yeah. It's like a very like strategic.
It's recorded fantastically.
And recorded fantastic.
So, that's what I think about when polished. Like,
yes.
I get what you mean. Like more polished or produced, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I think of like polish, like just thinking of Verve Pipe, when you look at underneath.
Yeah.
Underneath is very high fidelity, that very just production.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Yes, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of parts. There's a lot of things that are hidden in there that make the song.
Yeah.
And Andy's taking it and making it more raw and authentic. And,
just more because Villains, I mean, it is more like this is a 5-piece band, and this is kind of what there's some tricks or whatever, but it's more just like
it's how we sound live.
It's like there's 2 guitars and keys and drums and voice and like whatever.
And that's how we're approaching this next record. Hopefully, I mean, we'll find out when it gets mixed and everything. But and that's how I'm approaching the guitar parts too. So I'm recording. I actually just released. I put a snippet out. I posted it today, but
I saw you playing today.
Yeah, and it was something I recorded right before Christmas, and it was for one of the solos, and Andy wants me to record with like effects.
Yeah.
If I think it's something that's cool.
Yeah.
And I tried it with this Eventide thing. I've been sitting in my drawer forever, and I was like, he wanted something cool, so I'm gonna do an octave fuzz thing.
Yeah.
And I did the solo. And I totally forgot to post it. I remember recording it. I'm like, why did I never post this? And anyway, I posted it today. This would have been like December 20th. Anyway, so he wants me to record with just how it would sound if I was playing it live.
Right. Yeah.
And
I mean, I think that's a good move.
I think it's the move we need to take, because the last record we did with Joel helped produce it.
Yeah.
was very, I mean, it was fun. I recorded all my guitar stuff at Joel's using Joel's amp and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I love working at Joel's place.
Yeah.
But it was very, to me, it felt kind of a little disjointed on my end.
Right.
Like I had parts down, I played my parts and thinking that, oh, this is cool or whatever. And then it get changed or it just didn't make the cut kind of thing. Where this is like all the parts that I came up with on the fly when we were up north kind of working out the songs are what we're using on the original thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of cool. And that's, I enjoy working in that kind of way, just because it's like, hey, this is the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
And some
It's
reason
got
it
urgency, that whole thing of first idea, best idea.
Yes.
There's that.
And Andy's pushing that. Andy's pushing like, hey, this is what you played on the demo when we're just kind of messing around.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Like clean it up.
Yeah.
Play that part.
Right.
And that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. And then you're going to do 500 takes of it. Getting back to the beginning of the
that's
conversation.
That's on my end. Yeah.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I should have just kept the first take.
No, we want the demo. And here you are, 2 weeks later, woodshedding the same goddamn lick.
Exactly. The same. And it's no different than the first take I took.
It's just worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I've been doing so many of these with so many different bands and stuff like that. You never know what ends up happening until it's printed and this is what you get, kind of thing.
Especially the way you guys are working. It sounds like it's sort of a hybrid thing. You're working remote sometimes and sending tracks in, and one guy's putting it together. You don't really know what's going to happen.
So initially, like Andy Kane would come to my studio. He would drive 2 hours over. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I've got all the same equipment you've got. Yeah. And he's like, well, I want to see what, I want to do it and be with you. And now he realizes, like, I can just tell you what to do over the phone.
right.
I'm like, I know.
FaceTime. Yeah, it is fun. We got to talking about this the other day. And it is fun, though, to be in the same room. And there is that thing, like, remember why you got into it and the fun of it and that stuff and not being isolated. And we all get in that world, too.
Well, that was always the fun thing about Rocket King is, like, when we'd record all together. Yeah. So a lot of the rhythm tracks would be what we use on. It would be used on the thing, and then I would overdub guitar solos and stuff like that. Or same with vocals. We'd all be there doing the vocal and doing. Okay, now go up there and sing your harmony part. Whatever. Yep. And there is something to be said about that. Yeah. It's different now. It's easy in a way to where you can be at home and just throw your tracks down and send them via Dropbox. Yeah. There is something to be said about that, but there is that nuance of being together in a room and getting that evil eye or
you have
the
to do it in front of somebody and
or getting yelled at because you're taking too long and you messed up. Yeah. There's something to be said about that. Yep. And is it good or bad? I don't know. It's hard to say.
It could go either way.
It could go either way.
It could create magic or not.
I think in the end, it's all about what ends up being out there. How is a song perceived? Is it a good song? Yeah. Was it well executed? Yeah. Are people digging it? That's really all that matters in the end.
Yeah. It really is. And I think one of the big strengths of the Verve Pipe has always been fucking great songs. Yeah. So that really is, to me, what I told AJ, and it's a joke, but I've been a Verve Pipe defender and I'll argue with people, or whatever, oh, the fucking Freshman, dude, I wish I wrote the Freshman 1,000,000 times over. Sure. It's a fucking great song,
and
it's
you really think about it, it's really a basic 3-chord song, 4-chord song, but it came out in a time that connected with people, and then
it did also get played to death.
Yes,
and I'm like, no, it's not that it's a great song. It just got way overplayed that one summer or whatever,
Well, and that's the thing. I think that's more for the local community out here.
Yeah, there's that aspect of it too. I talked to AJ a little bit about that too. Is there's the hater aspect from the local thing. Yeah. There's that and whatever. And I try not to be that as much as I can.
It's a different vibe around here. Yeah. Even compared to when you played in Detroit, it's a different vibe. There is more of like a jealousy about it.
Right. Correct.
But then we just played. We were on tour with Toad, What Sprocket, for 5.5 weeks, and we played in Florida, and I can't believe how big fans are in Florida.
Yeah.
And then Brian said that Florida was one of the main marketplaces that they first broke. Was Florida.
Yeah.
And it was a weird. I've never had this experience. Like not going to compare ourselves to the Beatles or anything like that, but it was like that where fans were getting in fights to get to us.
Yeah.
And we were the opening band for Toad.
Yeah.
And it was a weird experience. And and I was like, what is going on? And like every show in Florida was like over the top. The crowd just ate it up. And come to find out, it was like that was one of the main test markets back in the day.
To me, that's not a big deal. We get that constantly from this podcast. So like, we can't even go to like fucking Walmart or nothing, dude. It's yeah, man, we just get mobbed all the time. This guy's from Dangerville. Oh my god,
it's endearing at first. It gets to be a little bit of old hat after a while, and at some point it's like, Jesus, like I want to get a box of oatmeal. I don't want to
just leave me alone.
Bombarded by fans.
I hear you. That's ridiculous.
You understand, though. It's got to be weird to meet somebody like any of us in person, to be sure.
I feel you.
Well, hey man, I think we'll wrap it up there. I know you got to get going. You got to. We'll take a selfie too, so you can see how snazzy you look tonight.
Oh yeah.
Impeccably dressed. Impeccably dressed.
By far the best dressed person on this show.
Thank you
by
so
far.
much.
Quick side note: with the way the mic's going, you appear to have some kind of mustache from this angle, and it looks tremendous, bro.
Well, thank you.
You gotta go all in on the mustache.
I have a little growth going.
Full mustache, dude.
But like I need to work into what you have going on.
Freddie Mercury.
You need to go the untrimmed fucking stash like this motherfucker
this is a
over here.
comb over stash. This is not a real mustache.
No, I
can't grow a real mustache like an actual man.
Yeah, man, keep me posted on what's going on. I'm gonna try to make that Verve Pipe show. I'm already following you on social and everything. I want to come over and check out your studio. I love studio shit.
Anytime.
And fucking.
We can have the most fun. Talk about gear.
Yeah, well, that's
my worst nightmare.
That's my favorite thing in the world. So be prepared. I will nerd out all goddamn day long.
No.
I will talk to people about microphones as long as they'll let me. So I'm that guy. So.
And if you guys want to atone for that Howard's House thing, come down here. I'm just saying.
We'll come down here. Let's do it. We'll get the pipe in down here. Yeah. We'll do an acoustic set. It's not. We're not Howard Stern, but we can get it going. You know what I'm saying? Hillary Clinton will come on. It's no big deal.
Okay.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Hell yeah, man. All right.
Adios, man.
Later. Peace.